rise for the invocation given by Councilwoman Brittany McGuire.
Positive.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Lord, I'm asking you to give us wisdom and bless us tonight as we go through the agenda. Help us to all agree and be in your perfect will, Lord, as we go through and talk about each of the items. Help us to do the best for our city and the best for everybody that lives here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember McGuire?
Here.
Councilmember McCure?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Here.
Mayor Anderson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have Kempy with us?
So I just asked Chief where he was. He said he'd be right here. I guess he's grabbing them.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. We'll come back to that one after. Avon Park High School track team, Mr. Chet Brojek. Have a request for us for a new event.
Yes, sir. Chet Brojek. I'm assisting, volunteering, unretired for the fourth time, with the track team. And the coach asked me to help stage a 5K run. We would be using the Jingle Bell course. The city has assisted with temporarily for about an hour with the cones, and I've coordinated with the law enforcement to have representatives there. So if it's okay with the council, we would like to do that on April the 8th.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Chet?
Nope, I think it's great. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion we approve item number B5 for the high school track team Red Devil 5K Classic on April 8th. Is that
All right.
Is it April 8th?
April 8th, yep. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Brojek, we wish you luck.
Mayor,
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, can you
Yes.
take? He's going to cover the Blueberry Festival too.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Dilday was not available, and I'm a Rotarian as well. Our Rotary Club of Avon Park is asking for use of Donaldson Park on Saturday, April 22nd for, I want to say it's our 11th annual Blueberry Festival. It's our major fundraiser for the club.
Says here it's the 12th year.
Okay, I might have missed one. They may have given me that one off.
We'll forgive you. All right. Any questions on this?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
Mayor, can I add one thing on this?
Yes.
Because this year they're looking to close a portion of Main Street off too.
Okay.
And
It's
I told her if you approved it, I would work with them and see exactly where they want to close it.
Okay. Typically, it's that inside lane closest to the park.
Right.
That's the one?
I think what I heard them discussing it. They were talking about if we could close off from, I call it Kirkland's, that first section of the mall, both lanes. Because what we could do then, we could put vendors on the inside edge of the mall.
I
In other
see.
words, and it also will cut down a little bit of the traffic danger because people were driving through there. It would just
Right.
be a one-block detour.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's been a fabulous event. It's grown every year. I mean, everybody seems to enjoy it, so
Yeah, we had over 4,000 people
it's amazing.
Wow.
last year.
Okay. Any further questions on this?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I make a motion we approve item number B7 for the Rotary Club to have the road closure on April 22nd, I believe it's that.
Okay. Do we have a second? All right. We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Chet, thank
Thank
you
you,
very much.
Mayor and Council. I appreciate you allowing me to do that. I'm headed back to a track meet. See you.
All
All
right.
right, be careful, sir.
All right. back to item number 4. We have a retirement of one of our fire captains, Mr. Steve Kempy. Been with us for 34 years, and we are going to congratulate him on his service. Looks like Chief, are you going to come up and say a few words? I believe we have something for him. Okay.
All right, I'm here tonight to recognize Captain Steve Kempy. Some of you may know him already, but if you don't, I'm going to give you just 1 or 2 minutes about him. So he started back in Avon Park Fire Department in 1989. Back then, they had 2 staff, 2 people protecting the city 24 hours a day.
Wow.
The hourly state minimum wage was $5.15. I think you said you were getting $5.74. $5.73. He has always been one of these people that's willing to try about anything. In his personal life, he's done stuff like gone on plays and taken on singing parts. In his professional life, he's done stuff like firefighter survival, where he's rappelled off roofs and climbed out of 3rd-story windows to climb down fire hose to learn how to self-rescue techniques. He's also one of those people that makes you always feel included and welcomed. He likes to get in the middle of everything, and that might be from bringing in food, cooking to his shift, or just any kind of adventure. You never know what you're going to get into with him. You might go to breakfast or something and end up in the middle of the lake with some kind of boat malfunction at 2 PM with a storm coming at you. So in relation to the fire department, this is always interesting because the people that he's under, managing have to figure out if they're going to do pump training at 2 PM or victim removal out of the tower at 10 o'clock at night. So he's always kept it different. All the members at the fire department try to help the citizens whenever they can, and Captain Kempy was no exception. From helping his fellow employees to helping anybody he met on the side of the road, he would do anything he could to help. He spent a lot of years at the fire department and finally decided to start his new chapter. His knowledge and experience will be missed, but we know we'll see him from time to time as he navigates this next step in his life. Captain Kempy has served the community for 34 years, and some of those days I'm sure he would rather forget, but some of those days he brought good light to the rest of us that worked with him. So on behalf of the city of Avon Park, I present you with a small token of gratitude for your dedication of 34 years. And I'm sure them also, and I'd like to wish you good luck and happy retirement.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor, could maybe you all come around here and just have a picture with him? We'll take it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We can go up there.
You want to come up here? Maybe we get the sign in the background.
Musical chairs.
We'll squeeze in here. Steve?
Don't go way out here.
Come on in close. Chief, don't get too close. I think you're retired too.
Yeah, I stay way out of the end.
Happy retirement! Yay!
All right. Well, again, we thank Mr. Kempy for all of his service. Chief did a great job outlining everything. It's also good for the council to be able to see the entire fire department there. Everybody came out for you, so thanks again, brother. I know you got a little retirement thing coming up after the meeting, from what I hear. Okay, so we'll see you then. So, thanks a lot. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, item number 6. Do we have someone for the pinwheels here?
I don't see anybody.
No, Shirley was here, but I can cover for her.
Okay, go ahead.
Shirley was supposed to be here. Shirley Johnson got me. It's about downtown Sebring on the Circle. You've got that in there on April 1st. It's going to be a bunch of Corvettes coming in, some from out of state. They want a stage. I've already told them it'd be fine at the by the railroad tracks, the city park there. Mm-hmm. We're going to have the restrooms open for them. She had talked about us putting blue lights back in the lights out there, but she didn't bring anything else up. But if you got no problem with that, it'll take us a while. We can put some up for it just on that side of the road if you're good with that. But the sheriff's office is going to be there to lead them down, end up at the circle on Sebring where you see in there. They're going to have a few hours of some vendors down there and hopefully have some fun. So, but they'll be starting up here. I told them I'm sure you didn't have a problem with that.
Any questions for him on this?
Yeah, I have a question for Mark. Mark, where are they gonna line up at?
At the city parking lot down on 27 on Main Street by the railroad tracks. But it has the basketball hoop up there.
Oh, okay. Not at the airport.
No.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? You'll need a motion on this, right? Or
No.
No? Okay. Just information on it. All right. Sounds good. We look forward to it. Item number 8, we have a request of the city to fund a scholarship for the Miss Avon Park pageant. Is Miss Carrie Bryan here with us?
She called us around, I want to say 2:30 to say that she was on I-4. So
Okay.
she was coming. I don't see her in the audience.
All
so-
right. We'll table that for now, and if they show up, just make sure you let us know so we can bring it back up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we need to get her in quick because she got to go back out, I think.
Okay. Item number 9, this will be the minutes for February the 13th. So regular meeting, be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes from February 13th.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or changes? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes,
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 10, we have a discussion with possible decision for the Historical Society in Avon Park request for new lease. I think your microphone there.
This is the lease that you asked me to make changes to, and went ahead and made those, so this is as approved at the last meeting. It just needs formal approval if you want to do so.
Okay. Do we have any questions about anything on it?
anybody want to speak? Nancy, you happy?
If you want to answer, we'll need to get you up here. You just give your name and your role with the Historical Society.
Yes, my name is Nancy Fisk. I live here in Avon Park, and I'm here as the president of the Historical Society of Avon Park.
Yes, ma'am.
There are some changes that will require more expense on our part. We don't really object to that. The liability insurance, we've never had that before. We were going by what the city had.
But technically, that was in the last lease as well, just nobody made you pay it.
Well, I thought it was optional. It is still optional. I mean, this time it's not optional. It was optional last time, wasn't it?
No,
Oh, okay, well,
it was only optional because nobody made you pay it.
okay. The other thing, that the grant that we're applying for asked for a restrictive covenant. And I understand that, the way I understand it, we are promising to honor this lease and only use that building as a museum. The restrictive covenant says that the city is promising us that it will always be a museum. And that, from what you're telling me, that's covered in the lease. It doesn't seem like it is to me, but if you're saying that,
No, it's not covered in the lease.
okay,
It wasn't something they voted in favor of. But if the grant says that, we'd like to see the grant provision for that, and make sure you're interpreting that properly, because I have never heard of a grant requiring a restrictive covenant. They require that you have a confirmation for a period of time, between 10 and 20 years, that you can't use it for anything other than that. And I think you have that with a lease. The city has given you that as a lease. So as long as you comply with the lease, because if you don't comply with the lease and keep it in a museum, then we get it back.
correct.
So I think that normally complies with what grants want. And they want some kind of confirmation they're giving you money that's going to last a while. but I've never heard of a covenant running with the land, and for any grant, and I've seen many, many grants in 30 years.
Well, it is in our application, but we are going to complete the application, or as we're working on it, we have someone from the Florida Humanities Department of Arts and Culture who are going to help us review it and make sure that it's correct. And
Okay.
so we can ask them at that time if that's going to be a deal breaker, and if it is, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay,
But
that's
it's
good.
separate from the lease.
Yeah, it's
So-
definitely no covenant in there.
Right, right. Okay.
And as always, we can make addendums to this lease in the future, can't we, Jerry? As long as
Absolutely.
both parties agree.
You can make it a week after you approve it. You can
Sure.
change.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be clear, the board fully supports trying to get this the grant and everything. You know, so we
Okay.
want to do everything that we have to do to make that happen. So if there's something specifically that will not work, you just need either that person or some type of written something to show the attorney so we can do what we have to do. So.
Okay. All right, I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but we'll be doing that in the next probably month and a
We're
half.
always here.
Okay,
Or
thank
just,
you.
or just provide it to the office. You don't
Thank
have to
you.
provide it to me. They'll take care of that.
Okay, we appreciate your support, and we are working hard to make this happen, so.
Thank you.
This is the first step, so thank you very
No,
much.
we thank you guys very much. You guys have worked really hard on this, and we just thank you for all that you've done. And you guys have been there for a very long time, and now it's about to get bigger and better. And everybody that I've talked to around town is very much in favor of it. So I really think it's going to happen. So
I do too. And remember, we don't have our donation envelopes here for you tonight, but anyone is free to make a donation toward this project. So keep that in mind. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
thank you. Yep.
And those are small or large donations, correct, for the grant? Yeah.
Anyone who. We do have a recognition wall planned inside the museum, and anyone who makes a donation of $50 or more, their name will be on that wall. And so we are hoping that the entire community is behind this, because there is an amazing baseball legacy here in Avon Park, and the legacy will continue with everyone who supports this project. Their name will be on that wall for many years to come. So please make the legacy continue.
But am I correct, too, the grant also likes to see even small donations? No, not everybody can afford $50, so it's nice to
Right.
see those in the community can only put in $5 or $10 or $20. It's always good to see those too, correct?
Well, yes, those kinds of donations would come with fundraisers that we have,
Okay,
but $50 or more will get you on the wall.
okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great job.
Very
Thank you.
good. All right. Any other questions on about the lease specifically, or
No, I'm good with it.
seeing none? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and approve the lease under item number D10 for the Historical Society of Avon Park for 21
Okay.
years on Museum Avenue.
Yes, sir. All right. Is there a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Last call for questions. Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes,
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good.
Mayor, Miss Bryan arrived.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Going back to item number, let's say item number 8. This will be the request for the city to fund the scholarship for the Miss Avon Park pageant. Miss Carrie Bryan, if you could please come up to the podium and give your name and address for the record.
I don't live in the city, so. Carrie Bryant, my address is 632 South Riverdale Road, Avon Park, Florida, 33825.
Okay. All right. So you have a pageant coming up and you're looking for funding.
Not technically funding, no. Local business sponsors around Avon Park have actually helped sponsor it since it hasn't been put on for 3 years.
Okay.
I did go to the chamber, and since it's always been under the chamber, I did go to them and ask them, and the chamber wanted nothing to do with the pageant anymore. I actually ran the pageant from 2006 to 2015. I handed it down. At the time I handed it down, I had a dance studio in Hardy County. We have 3 boys that play baseball. They're still playing baseball. They're just now in college, and one's a senior and another one's a 13-year-old.
You're busy.
So I have more free time, though, because they can drive.
Okay.
When I handed it down, it got turned into a circus. Just going to leave it at that. The chamber wanted nothing to do with it. I contacted Mark Schrader of the city. He said absolutely not. They want nothing to do with it. I contacted Shane and Sherry Eason of Heartland Helping Hands Incorporated, and that's now I'm a board member. And that is who is actually headlining the pageant, so we can use their 501c3, so everything is done properly as far as funding.
Okay.
So I'm not asking for any funding. I'm asking the city to acknowledge the winner who will actually be representing the city of Avon Park. I'm actually at practice right now. That's why I was late, excuse me. But my girls are at the high school right now in the middle of a pageant practice. My assistant director, who was here last time for me, is running it right now. I'm just asking for a scholarship anywhere from $500 to $1,000. I'm under the impression from the last meeting that they were here that you guys had questions for me. I'm open to, answer any questions. As far as the scholarship would go, the queen would have to literally fulfill her 1-year title before she was presented that scholarship. So she would have to attend all of the city functions, all of the meet and greets. She would be attending, counties, sister counties, Highlands, Hardy, DeSoto, Polk County. She would be, representing Miss Avon Park in different counties. So the scholarship is going towards her to further her education. That's the pageant got off track after I handed it down, and they stopped doing a scholarship. So that's what these girls are competing for, is to further their education and to win a scholarship. I don't expect y'all to cut a check that night. I'm not asking that. I was just at the Miss Hardy County pageant, and that's how they do it. They make sure that their queen, fulfills all of her duties throughout the year, that she abides by the contract. Oh, do you have the paperwork that I turned in?
Yeah, we do.
Did y'all get a chance to read over it?
We got plenty of it.
Okay, because I literally took a week off of my full-time job to literally build that from scratch because I started with nothing.
Okay.
So, it's legit from the ground up. And yes, we're holding it at the college. It's being done the proper way. I really don't. Literally, all I'm asking for is between $500 and $1,000, to be presented to the winner of the pageant. That we're going to have a queen, and then there will be a first and second runner-up.
Okay. All right. So on the actual scholarship itself, it has to be used for education, right?
Yes, it's going to be, that's the key that I understand that y'all had issues with, and I can understand that. I can't, hold a gun to their head and say, well, you have to use it for this, but that's what it's supposed to be used for, is yes, to further their education as far as if they want to go to a trade school. College isn't for some people. My middle son, that kid can build anything. He's not for a 4-year college, but he's going because of baseball. Whatever. So if they want to go be a cosmetologist, then they can put the funds towards, cosmetology. If they want to go to be an engineer, then what if they want to go to South Florida or anything like that? That's what the scholarship is meant to be for. Yes.
Okay. Do you think you'd be amenable to the check actually being written to a school?
Yeah, I don't have no problems with that.
Yeah.
That's how, that's whatever you guys, however you guys want to see fit, then yes.
That was one of the large questions, is what exactly would it be used for? If it's written to an actual school, then that alleviates all the issues.
But then my question is, if they get, because I know with my boys, if they sign with one school, and then so are they going to come back to you if they switch schools?
I don't think $500 is probably going to go that far.
It doesn't matter. It's still an incentive.
I see.
And the only reason I say that is because I've been stewing on this literally for the past 2 weeks. And for me to even know, in 3 years, no one's even stepped up to bring this pageant back. And it's shameful because this pageant has been part of our community for literally years, years and years and years and years. And so these girls have missed out on this. I'm literally teaching them how to walk, how to talk, how to sit for an interview, how to interview for the real world.
Right.
It's not just a beauty pageant. I'm even presenting them with an academic award. Whichever girl has the highest GPA by the time of the pageant on Saturday, April 1st, which no, it's not a joke. That's just the first date that the college had available. There's even going to be, it's not just about a beauty pageant.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions for her?
No, I have a couple comments though, but I actually think this is something that the city should be behind it 100%, because this is something that we as representatives of the citizens of Avon Park, they can also be proud of the fact that we just don't have a Miss Highlands County or whatever else they have, which is great. But to have a Miss Avon Park, I think every citizen and every person in this room from Avon Park would be proud to say that we have this person. It teaches them confidence. It teaches them life lessons. It teaches them moral consciousness, basically etiquette, how to dress properly, how to interview for jobs in the future. And I actually reached out to Brittany Fan. I don't know anybody who knows Brittany Fan, but she's been involved with all the different pageants in the last few years. And she told me that she would love to be here tonight, but she's actually at another pageant. But when they started Highlands County, I know one of the questions was brought up about how many participants she had. She told me when they first started Miss Highlands County, because it was brand new, they only had 6 participants. So the fact that she may only have 7, she said, look how it's grown in Highlands County. Now they have 20 or 30 eligible people that are young ladies that want to do this too. To me, I think it's a great opportunity for the city of Avon Park to promote this issue, to give confidence, life skills, and basically teach young teenage girls that have gone through different issues, especially since COVID. It's been in the news all the time about problems with young ladies having to deal with since COVID and issues and bullies and things like this. I think this is a great opportunity for the city of Avon Park that of all the things that we support, I think we need to support this, and I think we need to support this from now on. And I give you kudos for all the work you've done here, because you really put all your ducks in a row. You got so much paperwork filled out. It took me an hour to read everything.
Thank you, Mr.
And you
Jim.
did this all by yourself without any help at all. And so the fact that you're representing City of Avon Park, I believe you were Miss Avon Park at one time.
I was
is that correct?
2000.
So I don't know about anybody else. I think $500 is really a small amount. We seem to give away money for fireworks and festivals and all kinds of other stuff. So I'm just going to put it where I think things should be and let it go at that. I'm going to make a motion that we go.
Can we have all the discussion, Jim, before we make motions?
We can discuss after the motion.
Okay. All
Oh, and
right.
I do want to add, we have 8 contestants, not 7 now.
18?
8.
Oh, 8.
8.
Awesome.
And Miss Highlands County only had 7 this year. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm just saying.
I think Miss Bernice had some questions.
I have some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have some of the same questions, or better yet, I have some comments. I think I have some of the same comments that I had last 2 weeks.
Pull that microphone over towards you a little bit.
Some of the same comments I had the last 2 weeks. We have hundreds of girls at Avon Park High School. And we got 8 that's interested? And like I said before, I'm all about this girl thing. Go, girl power. I'm about that. But if we only got 8 girls out of hundreds at the high school, that tells me it's not something that they want. I get it. We got 7 that's interested. The mayor said it last 2 weeks. I think we can spend our money somewhere else. I think that this should be handled on a private level where private sponsors should be sponsoring this and not the Avon Park. No, I don't think we should be spending citizen money on Avon Park pageants.
And you're entitled to your opinion. And that's totally
let me finish
understandable.
this. I had the opportunity to go back and read some of the rules. And there was two of the rules that, it just didn't make any sense to me. I was the athletic in school. And if I wanted to appear in this pageant, I get points taken off for every time I go to track meet, or I played basketball, or I went to softball. I get points taken off if I work. Some girls has to work to, put some money in their pocket. But if you in sports or any type of school activity, you don't get points taken off.
Okay, are you done? So did you read the whole contract?
Well, let me get that back. You
Well,
don't.
no, 'cause in the
do
contract
3
it clearly
absence.
states.
You allowed 3 absence.
It says in there that they're excused if they bring me their schedule, and if it's school related, it's excused, and they
Right.
don't have
School
any deductions.
related is school.
I have 3
but
girls
not
missing tonight
but
from
not
practice because
going to
they're
work.
at FFA.
But
yes,
point-
it's the same
points
thing at work.
being taken off for going to work.
No, as long as they bring me their schedule beforehand, and it doesn't deviate from that, and that's teaching them responsibilities. So if I don't show up to work and I just decide to, and I've already committed to do this, my time's just as valuable as your time. That's teaching those girls responsibility.
The point is that there's, as long as it's a excused
Absolutely.
absence, it's fine.
Yes.
And as long as it's been told ahead of time,
Absolutely.
then there, yeah.
I had a girl, just for instance, she just decided to text me today at 3:30. I'm driving down I-4 trying to get to Avon Park, And she decides to text me and say, I'm going to go out with my boyfriend tonight. I'm not going to be at practice. So I stated, okay, you signed the paperwork, you read the rules, so that's not excuse just to go out with your boyfriend. Sorry. Like, I can't just call into work and be like, oh, I just want to go have lunch with my husband, so I'm going to bang in from work today. That's not real world. I'm teaching these girls responsibilities.
And my last question was, other than COVID, when you first stepped up to the podium, you said pretty much had went to, I'm gonna use the word kaput. What was it?
circus?
Yeah.
That's
What was the
stated.
reason for that? There was no interest in it. What was the reason for that?
The reason for what?
That it was a circus. Went kaput.
I wasn't involved in it. I just literally was told from George at the chamber what went down.
Okay.
So, and George is no longer here, so I'm not a gossiper. I don't do drama. That's just what I was told from George at the chamber, and why the chamber wanted to no longer hold the title of Miss Avon Park. So I literally changed the name to Miss Avon Park City of Charm, and I'm running it under Heartland Helping Hands, Inc. to run it through a 501c3, so all the money can be held accountable, so I'm not held accountable for it. That way, I have my ducks in a row. I have my T's crossed and my I's dotted.
And I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sorry. And you was responsible for this pageant, this year's pageant, from day one?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you wait to the middle of the pageant to come and ask for money? Isn't that something should have been planned a year ago or months out?
I just took this on November 11th.
Okay.
There's a lot of time and a lot of energy and dedication that goes into putting on a pageant. It's not just about a crown and sash.
And you think that funding would be number one or two, or, right up top?
So
How are you going to fund it?
We got through Christmas. I'm not going to go around and ask people around Christmas for sponsorships.
Okay.
We had our first meeting, our parent meeting in January, which is also on that paperwork that I handed in. And that's when we started. I actually reached out and talked to Mr. Jim about this back in January.
I think the fact that even the question that Ms. Taylor brought up about having a minimum amount of people and having activities, that sort of answers the whole question, possibly why we only have a few people, because maybe girls are so busy with other activities at school and so many activities of having part-time jobs, maybe they don't have enough interest to pick that option to be participating in other than track and field, swimming, or whatever. So that may answer the question why you only have 7 this year, or 6 or 7. But I guarantee you that if, according to Ms. Brittany Fan, what happened with Highlands County is if you turn around, this goes well and looks well and makes the city proud and makes the citizens proud, you will double and triple the amount of contestants or kids that will be involved next year. So,
And going back to that, Mr. Jim, because I did get off track with her first question, and you asked why there were so little contestants. Honestly, I don't care if there was 2 contestants that would have entered into this pageant. I would have held it, and we would have had a queen and a first runner-up, due to the fact of Miss Avon Park has been around for years, over 50 years to be exact. So in order to bring it back, I honestly, I was proud and shocked that I have 8 contestants. So I really don't care if I would have had 1 contestant, I'd have paraded her up there on that stage, and that would have been because it's not fair to Kenley Wall to hold the title of a crown since 2019. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, yes, I would be very thankful to have y'all's partnership in this. And the reason I say that is because my girl would actually be coming to your events. She would be representing Miss Avon Park.
What events?
In
Name me a couple of events that she would come to and represent Avon Park.
I think last month at the museum, we had
The Diamond Club that just took place 2 nights ago that all the Miss Highlands County queens were at. Miss Avon Park should have been there. That's Avon Park. Sure. That's Diamond Club. That is Avon Park's baseball.
It's just not something that the city council has focused on in recent years, so that
Yeah, and I'm not asking for any help.
Right.
I haven't asked for anything. That's my whole. That's the only reason I was saying. Well, since it's gonna be the girl is gonna be representing Avon Park, maybe I could get the help from you guys to provide a scholarship, because I have raised the sponsorships as far as the college costing $3,000 to rent it. I have crowns, I have sashes, I have flower bouquets, I have judges' baskets I have to provide. I mean, yeah, it's not cheap.
Sure.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if you guys don't want to, then yes, I will. I will pull it out of my own pocket, and I will provide this pageant a scholarship for the winner, because I've already stated that that's what this is a scholarship pageant.
I actually also think that once word of mouth gets around, other girls will be interested. I also think that, well, I'm in softball this year, but you know what? This looked like so much fun last year. I'm going to do it next year. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I also think.
Maybe they're not old enough.
Yeah, it's not so much the money, $500 or $1,000 isn't gonna help somebody that much to go to college. Or it might help a little bit if they go to some type of trade school. But I think the real basis why I support this item is because it basically gives Avon Park something to brag about, that we have a young lady that represents us of all the different public events that we have, and we have them almost every month. Because I know the last event we had at the museum, Miss Hollins County and their court was there, and they were going around and people were taking pictures with them left and right. They got up and spoke, and people really enjoyed the fact that we had somebody represent the county. And I think it's time that we get back to have somebody represent Avon Park, so the citizens can be proud of that. And so I will start off easy this first year, but I'm going to make a motion right now, and you all can decide on your own. I make a motion we go ahead and donate $500 to a scholarship fund for the Miss Avon Park pageant.
And I just say if we're gonna give Avon Park
we need to
money,
see if
we
there's
should
a-
at least give it to more than 7 people. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
It's
So
not going to 7.
we have a motion on the floor. We need to see if we have a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Do you have any further questions?
My only question, because I want to support you guys and
Yeah.
stuff like that, is just clarifying where the money can be spent. So I would like some kind of documentation, and I agree,
I have no problem
college
with that.
isn't for any, for everybody, but some kind of either admissions paperwork or
Yeah, I have no
even a
problem with that.
receipt, an invoice, just proving that the young lady did use it towards her education.
Absolutely.
And I think if it's done right, which you seem like you're very serious about it, then I think it could be a really good thing.
Right.
As long as all of the events after the fact are, you're serious about those, the young lady is serious about those. I think it could be a good thing, definitely. And I don't have an issue with there only being 8 girls in the pageant. I just want to make sure that they actually do use the money towards furthering their education.
Yeah, I have no problem drawing up that contract. And again, my stipulation to it is they have to complete their full title reign for a year to receive their prizes.
Right.
Like if they decide to mess up and go against anything that's in the contract, then it gets handed down to the first runner up, and then they forfeit their scholarship.
Right.
That's responsibility.
It's fair. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think in the whole 50 years of doing this, there's only been one girl who's ever had her title stripped. 3? Still pretty good for 50
Oh, yeah.
Since 1919, was it?
1919.
What year did you
50
say?
years ago?
I said there's 3. There's been 3 girls that have had their title.
No, excuse. I'm talking about since what year? You had a year in early 1900.
Oh, you're popping me right off, Garrett. I have to go to the chamber and get the whole booklet. Which
Okay.
that's my agenda.
Well, the only reason
tomorrow
I brought it up
when
is
I get
because I
back
thought I heard you mention it just a little while ago. So that's
Yeah, no, it's been going on for over 50 years. Though.
okay. All right. So we have a motion on the floor. So to Brittany's question, you had no issue with it being used to a college, so
College or
a
trade
college
school.
or school of some kind. So do we need something further in the motion, Jerry, to make that official, or what?
Well, I think that unless you write the check to, like, real estate or hairdressing school or something like that, then you'll need some kind of an agreement that before you give the cash up, this says that they will use it for that purpose, and some proof that they have already taken those actions as
Okay. And you said that you're willing to come up with something like that. So Jim, is your motion
Yep.
contingent upon her coming up with that agreement?
That's so moved, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So that was part of the original intention, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to that effect. Is there any further questions on this issue? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going back to the pageant.
thank you, Carrie.
All right. Item number 11. We have the possibility of vetting the reappointment of Ronnie Jackson to the Avon Park Housing Authority Board, or considering 2 other applicants.
Yes, so only one of the applicants is here. Ms. Williams, right?
Yep.
Yes, okay, I just want to make sure. I talked to a lot of people today. Ms. Williams is here. The other, Ms. Wells was unable to attend. I wasn't able to confirm with her over the phone.
And Ms. Jackson, or excuse me, Mr. Jackson wants to continue. He was just unwilling to be here at the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, in learning more detail about Mr. Jackson, I have no problem supporting Mr. Jackson, even though he's not here tonight. So if anyone has any other comments, questions, or wants to make a motion,
I
go
would
ahead.
second that.
I got a question.
Hold on one second, Bernice. I would second that only because I also see the email from Miss Penny that said he just got added to the check signing. I don't want to cause any undue hardship on them. I feel like they've gone through enough recently, having to reorganize. So I would also second that.
Okay. I didn't make a motion, to be clear.
Just
But if you're wanting to make that motion, you obviously can. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say it needs a motion. I know, I think what you said was I second that as
as
I
an
agree.
opinion, yes,
Yeah.
correct. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion then to reappoint Ronnie Jackson to the Avon Park Housing Authority.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions or comments?
I got comments. If we're gonna be fair up here on this council,
Yep.
a while back, it was discussed that, if they're interested, that they need to show up.
Right.
And so, everybody that came, that was interested, they showed up. So now we going back to, you don't show up, you get reappointed?
You know why he won't?
I
do
get
you know
it.
why he
I
won't show
get
up
it.
tonight?
Everybody can't, Mayor. I get everybody can't show up. I get it.
No, that's
Some,
not- that's not the point.
All
Do you-
kind of things happen.
Okay. All right. Do you want to listen or do you want to just
No,
keep talking?
don't talk to me like that. I told you, you're not gonna do it.
Ma'am,
You're not gonna talk to me.
we have a
like
very simple format here,
that.
okay?
You're not gonna talk
An
to
issue
me
gets
like
brought
that.
up, we're all allowed to make a comment, okay?
Right.
And then we have to go forward,
Right.
okay?
Right.
So I asked you a question of, do you want to know the reason why he's not here tonight?
No, this was the reason a lot of them wasn't here,
Okay.
but you wasn't interested in why they wasn't here.
Okay.
I mean,
Make
I hear
it- make a
nobody asks, well, you know, are they gonna be here? Well, you know, you would ask, are they here? Once they here, we make a decision.
Understood.
Now, for whatever reason, there's a special person. to
There's a
get
very good reason that I'm going to
reappointed,
answer whether you want me to or not.
And now they don't have to show up.
Okay.
There was people that I recommended. They didn't show up.
Yep.
What did I say? They're not here. Let's move on. Let's make a decision. Let's move on. And I felt like if they was really interested in being here, they should have been here. And if they couldn't be here, then they should have told the council tonight was not a good night for me, and we could have put them on the agenda for next time.
According
But
to
I'm
her
just saying,
email,
you can't be
he
fair.
couldn't attend.
If you're gonna do it, you have to do it fair with everybody.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right, go ahead,
Good.
Mayor.
Yeah, so he won't be here tonight because of you, actually. So
Because of me.
yeah, so it was because of disagreements with you. So his claim is that he's been attacked by you and that he doesn't want to show up tonight to be attacked again by you. And judging by your attitude, I'd say that's probably a smart move.
I don't even
So-
know who this guy is you're talking about.
Okay.
You see what
Well,
I'm saying?
I have no doubt
idea
that you
who he
don't.
is.
Let him finish, please.
But anyways, so, you know, in my opinion, the guy's done a good job already, and the guy wants to continue. So let him continue. There is no reason to change at this point. But frankly, I agree with you about people just not showing up for no reason. But I think in this case, it was a very good reason. So
Mayor, can I say something?
now you've already had your comment.
You come before this council
Is there
and
any
you
other
tell
comments?
this public that a person don't want to show up because of me, and I don't even know this person.
Okay.
I have no idea who this person is, and you make the public believe that it's true, and I don't even know who you're talking
That's the
about.
story I've heard.
And so, is that a good reason for a person not to show up because they don't want to?
You tend to be a little aggressive. I could see his point.
Okay, but does it make it right that you made everybody else show up?
Well, I think one of the
'Cause I
other
take all of
reasons
them.
that we had all of the rest of the people show up is because they have not been on a board. We do not know them. We've had no interaction with them. However, this gentleman has been on the board for the last several
Coach
years.
Brojack showed up, and he's been with the board for years.
And you were also not very nice when he got up there.
Because I voiced my opinion. You do know I'm entitled to my opinion up here, right?
You're entitled to an opinion, but you must also be respectful, which is the whole
I was
reason.
very respectful.
I'm sure
Miss
the Miss
McGuire.
Bryan didn't feel that the respect
Ms.
was
McGuire,
there.
only thing I was saying, Coach Brojack, he's been on the
Yeah,
board
so
for a lot of years.
it's off topic,
And
so it
that
doesn't matter.
It should have given
Excuse
somebody
me,
else an
it's off
opportunity.
topic. It's off topic.
So, Mayor,
That
you don't
means
agree
that means hush.
the board is being fair? You don't agree that the board is being
No,
not fair
not
to
in this case.
everybody
No,
showing up?
not in this case. No, we do have a motion and a second on the floor, though. So, is there any other comments? Seeing none, we'll call a roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 12, we have a Department of Economic Opportunity H2372, Fair Housing Modification Number 4. Melody?
Yes, sir. You have before you modification number 4 for the Department of Economic Opportunity Fair Housing Grant. It is taking $14,000 from temporary relocation funds and moving it into construction funds.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this grant?
Just a quick explanation, I appreciate.
So the construction funds went over what was originally budgeted,
Okay.
and we did not use a portion of the temporary relocation, so we're just moving it from one category to the other.
Okay. Any other questions?
That's 14,000?
That's correct.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, approve item number D12 for the increase of 14,000 to be moved over according to the finance director's decision for fair housing grant.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 13, the wastewater treatment plant expansion and transmission.
So this is also an amendment to the SRF loan agreement that we have with the state of Florida. We reduced the amount of the loan. It wasn't originally at $200,000. This will reduce it to the city's portion is $24,954.50.
Okay. Any questions?
Was that
Seeing none.
24,000 or 29,000?
$24,954.50.
All right. So move.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And Mayor, I also have another side note to tell you. So our project manager said that when we actually presented the plan to you all over at the community center, we should have passed a resolution, which we did not do. And in order to stay in compliance, we have to advertise and re-present the plan and pass a resolution.
Do we have to present all the options or just simply the one that we?
No, Jameson is on, but he indicated that if we just do a brief overview of what we've done, that would
Okay.
be sufficient.
So would that be at our next meeting or?
So we plan on advertising on March 12th and bringing the resolution before you on the 27th.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Seeing none. Item number 14. We have the IPO number 16. This will be for the DEO grant MT039 for the water main replacement and treatment plant improvements.
Yes, so this was brought before you at the last meeting, and we indicated that the engineering costs was budgeted at $96,000, but Kimley Horn's proposal came in at $176,000. We actually spoke with our grant manager, and she said that we can remove the directional bore under 27 and move those funds over to the design cost.
Okay. Now, which one had the issue with the grant administrator?
So we have both of our DEO grants. So the procurement process for both the drinking water grant and the fire station hardening grant, it was done properly, but it was not documented properly.
Right.
It was during COVID. We don't have some of the documentation that DEO is requiring. So the funding can either come out of the city's pocket, or we can go out to bid. So for the drinking water grant, it's $49,623. And for the fire station hardening grant, it's $42,160.
Okay. Now, is all of this part of item number 14 there?
Yes,
And so we're going to want to take this in two separate parts, right?
correct.
Okay. So downsides to putting it out for rebid?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We don't see any. At first I did, or both of us did, because we thought this was going to delay us, but we found out from DEO that our city's way ahead of most of them right now, so they don't feel that'll be a hindrance to it. If not, we're looking at obviously having to take money out, so our recommendation would be go out back to bid. It may not be Guardian that gets it. He understands that, and DEO at this point doesn't care who gets it, but that's all we can do. And we've been, probably the last couple of months, we've been dealing with them, and we got one what do they call him, the manager?
Program manager.
Program manager. We've been through, is it 2 or 3?
Probably four since
four
I've
of them.
been here.
And that's why they're way behind. Back when this was in 2021, we were awarded this. I was on, everybody from the city has to be on it to get the award to start with before it even comes to you, and they said that they were having such a hard time hiring people that this was going to be way behind. So one good thing, we won't be behind, but if we go out on it. But yes, I think it's better for us to go out so we can spend the grant money than to take what's almost $100,000 out of our funds, the reserves. So.
Sure.
And we've already paid Guardian for a few months worth of the administration fees. So I think it's about $6,000 per grant that we've already spent.
So that's basically the only part that we would lose.
Correct.
Okay.
So who is responsible for the documentation?
Want me to cover it?
Yes, please.
She wasn't here then. This was back in 2020 during COVID, and we all didn't get to meet together. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but sometimes it was good. We were all on Zoom. And it was a special meeting. It was January 17th. I've looked for all the stuff so long, I know the date. But there was forms, grading forms, and actually council's the one that did the grading, and we never received those back. We can't find them. I don't know if Kim got them or not. I can't even find the minutes. I talked to Jerry about this the other day. I can't find the minutes, nor can I find actually the Zoom recording. And that was during the time where we lost 7 months' worth when ransomware hit us. But I can't sit here and tell you that's where it went. There's still things that come up. I'm sure the sheriff's office deals with this every day. You don't know what you lost until you go looking for it. So it's nothing that, they said, well, you can redo them. Well, I can't redo them. The people who did it would have to do it. So we're going to be upfront and honest with them and with you. But they don't care about the minutes. They don't care about recording. They want those forms that each individual scorer, in this case, it was council member. Only 2 of you were here then.
Right.
On there. They want those forms.
Okay. So obviously rebid seems like the way to go. That's going to get the most amount of city funds back without us having to expend anything of our own. So basically we would only be losing about $6,000 and a little bit of time, but as they stated, we are way ahead of schedule, so we should be fine. Any other questions on that specific part of it? Nope. Seeing none, you'd be looking for a motion to go out for a rebid for the DEO grant manager. Do you need to name the grant specifically, or?
Well, it's for both of them, but we also need to approve.
I just add it will be for these 2 and any that come in the future.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's an ongoing relation. I got you. All right. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I would if I knew what to say.
All right, we'll make a motion to go out for an RFP for a DEO grant manager for the current ones and any future DEO grants.
that case, I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Does that satisfy your requirement there? Okay. Any questions on it? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, then back to the starting at 96,000 and going to 176,000.
Correct. So you attached is Kimley Horn's agreement for the 176,000, so you'll just have to approve that.
Okay, and
Agreement.
it's staff's recommendation that we approve that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions on that? Seeing none, is there a motion?
make a motion, we approve item D14, recommended $176,000.
Okay. That was specifically to Kimley Horn, right?
That's correct.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, item number 15, this will be resolution number 2023-02.
It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Avon Park, Florida, providing for adoption of a grant agreement with Florida Department of Transportation and providing for an effective date.
All right. Melody, do you want to brief us on this?
So this is actually something that FAM went out and asked DOT if we could get funding for. So it is a grant for $347,020 that will cover a portion of the perimeter security fence. It's 100% funded.
Okay.
And we have Brian Goodling from Kimley Horn is in the audience if you have any questions as to exactly what it entails.
Okay. Do you have a question there?
I actually did. Did you say a portion of the fence?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Brian Goodling with Kimley Horn, 32270 Goddard Drive, Wesley Chapel, Florida. So because of the size of the airport, it was important to break this project up into different phases, and this is the phase 1 of 2 for security improvements and perimeter fence.
Okay.
And how big is the perimeter that we're talking?
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it's very large. Just the survey work alone may take upwards of 3 to 6 months.
Okay. So this is the important portion with the two security gates on it, right?
Correct. This phase 1 of this project is up along State Route 64 and then along the western side of the airport.
Yeah. So for all intents and purposes, this is the part that gets used.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
so the other portion is going to be what? Done later?
Correct. So with the funding with this project, basically FAM secured extra funding from FDOT that needed to be used before the year was over. They found some extra discretionary funding, and this project is basically taking the money that FDOT is offering to help improve the security of the airport and like that.
Okay.
So this is only for phase 1.
Correct. This is just the design for the phase 1. It's security fence, it's a property boundary survey, and it's security improvement, CCTV cameras, access controls for gates.
No, that was my next question.
Okay.
And when they reach phase 2, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When they reach phase 2, are they able to reapply for another grant for that portion?
I'm unclear on that at this time based on the timetable, but it will be in further discussion as we get going.
Okay.
They're going to apply for a grant for every conceivable portion.
Okay.
So-
I didn't know if they would be able to because of the time frame or the project. So that's why I was just
Do you know how many
curious.
total phases there will be?
Should just be 2 for this.
Just 2?
Yes.
Okay. I would imagine there's a huge amount of cost just in the camera systems and new security systems for the actual gates themselves and everything. That's why it's so much for this specific portion, right?
A lot for this portion has to do with the property boundary survey, and this kind of coincides with the AIPP process. Instead of double dipping, because FDOT was offering the funds, we decided to do the entire property boundary survey of the airport within this. And just to complete phase 1 of 2, we need the entire boundary survey and can't just do a portion of it.
Nice.
So that's a lot of what the cost comes from.
So you won't need a survey for part 2.
Correct.
Perfect.
Very good. Any other questions on this resolution? Seeing none, I'll be looking for a motion for resolution number 2023-02.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-02. 02 in the amount of,
$347,020.
thank you. So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to be clear, that says the award amount is $374,020.
I think it's the 347.
And Exhibit G towards the end.
That's what it said.
The 374 should be correct.
374.
So is your intention to make a motion for $374,020, right, Jim?
Yes.
And you also wish to still second that motion, right?
Who was it?
I think it was you, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, sorry, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's what we voted on.
I see it now. 100%.
Okay. Item number 16, we have a proposal for additional streetlights on Fred Connor Street. See David Roberts' name there, but I don't think he's with us, right?
He's not. You asked us to find out about putting lights. Is your map on there? David made the map, did a good job. You got the 2 red dots. Those are 2 poles. You see the one on the north side's got a green. There's already a light on that shoots on to a portion of the basketball court. They propose putting a light on it to cover the street, and then the one to just the west of it on Fred Connor, putting another one on there, which will be on the street. And it's a total to 2 of them. They put the lights up. It's only $17 a month for both of them combined.
Seems like a easy fix.
Is this something Duke Energy is gonna do?
Yes.
Are we gonna try to bulletproof them or anything like that, or?
No.
No. Duke Energy is responsible for the maintenance on the lights, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions?
Nope.
Is there a
I've been out
motion?
to that site, and I think the location they want to put it is perfect, so.
And if the church wants to put one on the other side, they can pay Duke to do that if they feel they need more light there.
Sure. All right. Any other questions? If there's not, do we have a motion?
I have some questions, I'm sorry. This is for Mark. The lights that's down there is not operable. So we're putting more lights down there, and what? Those may not work. What's the next step?
Are you referring to the streetlights not being operable?
The street lights. You go down there and it's dark. And I'm here's my time to ask the city: are these lights being turned off intentionally, or are these lights just out because they've been shot out, whatever, and the city is not replacing them? What's going on with the lights?
Well, the 2 we're putting up, they're not existing. There'll be new lights.
I'm
on these
talking
poles.
about the ones that's down there now.
The one that's on the Duke pole that goes into the basketball court, I don't know. I don't know if that one, according to David, that one works.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. One, you go down there one night, it's dark. You can't even see your hand. Then I went down there another night, there's lights on. So I'm confused about the lights on Fred Connor. I'm confused as a council member. Are the lights on? Are they off? What's going on with the lights?
You know, I've actually seen that happen before on different lights around town.
This been going on for months.
I know. What I'm saying is maybe the light is going bad.
Okay.
So maybe when somebody needs to contact Duke and tell them, hey, this light comes on, and then it goes off, and it's not. Maybe it just needs to be brought to their attention and fixed.
Right. So if you go down anywhere in the city and there's a street light that is not on at night, take note of the pole number. Every single pole has a number on it. You have to take note of that pole number, document the date and the pole number, and then we turn that into Duke, and then they schedule maintenance to go fix that problem.
I've seen it done when they go do the parade. Sometimes when it's light, it's fine, and then it'll go out for the rest of the parade.
But Jim will tell you, what does it take?
The best thing to do.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Yes, and you can go online, any person can go online and actually put the poll number on and request a light out. And the best way to get them to do the job is to go ahead and, besides giving them the poll number, because when the technician comes out to look at the light and fix the problem, they don't get the poll number sometimes, they just get the local address. So I've done it many times. What they suggest you do is put a marker on there and put that marker in the comment section, because they get the comment section. So what I used to do is I had a roll of, remember the old yellow plastic rope, whatever? And I would get up as high as I could reach up 9 or 10 feet and tie it in a knot. And I would tell them, poll number so-and-so in the comments, and it has a yellow rope tied to it. And that got it fixed or replaced or whatever needed every time. If you just went online and said that poll number so-and-so was out, if they went out there and there's poles all around there, they're doing it in the daytime, they're not gonna turn all the lights on by themselves to see which one is bad, and it won't get done. So the best way is to put it in your comment section, whether the city does it or a citizen can do it. All you gotta do is go online and report a light out, give them the poll number, and put a marker, even a pink plastic tape or something, one of those do not cross line tapes. Anything so the guy can come out and look at it, oh, that must be it. And he'll pull it up and he can test and see the problem and fix it. So that's the best way to get it done correctly. So any council person, if you know a light that's doing that and coming on and off happens a lot. There's a lot of problems with that with the electronics in them. You can go out there and go look for the poll number and go online and report yourself and get the thing fixed.
And my statement is, this council nor this city is expecting a regular citizen to go and report a light and turn, that's just not how it works. The city is responsible. There's somebody that works in a certain department that's responsible to make sure lights are on that the city is responsible for. So we can't expect an ordinary citizen to do this. And the reason why I'm saying it, Jim, is because it's been like this for a long time. And somebody in the city should have known about it and done something about it.
We don't have too many city employees that drive around at night. So,
Right. So once upon a time, whenever we had our Avon Park Police Department, they were on at night, right? And that was one of their responsibilities. But even then, you've only got a handful of guys, and we have a whole lot of streets. Now, we've got garbage trucks going every single street every day, right? So they would see it, but they go during the daytime. So we just don't have many people on at night. And if you're somehow saying that it is preposterous for a citizen to help out the town, I would say you're crazy.
I'm not
So
saying that it's not
If
there.
a person sees an issue,
I'm saying
you do
that
something
if we
about it.
sit there
Everybody can
waiting
help.
on that to happen, Mayor,
Right,
it
if-
probably ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
If we wait as a
Well,
city.
apparently
wait
the
for
people you know don't want to help out, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people out there that do want to help out. So you can also help out yourself. When you see a problem, you can help fix it.
Mayor, can I add?
Please.
Actually, the other day when I walked down stairs, first floor, there was a lady just standing there, and as I usually do, I just engaged in conversation with her and asked what you're here for. She said, "Street lights out of my light. Who would I need to see?" I said, "Me." So I took the information, passed on to David Roberts. However, back the first year I was here, when we barely had enough people to mow Main Street, let alone anything else, I did have Robert Trevino have someone go out at night just to rearrange their schedule, because we did have a bunch of lights out, and Jim will tell you that's when you help get the newer lights in there. So I talked to David the other day, because after this lady went in, I talked to him about, maybe looking in the future, rearranging. We can get someone out there to do a section of the city here and there. So we are thinking about that, but there's citizens that go in, they tell us all the time, and they just go online, like Jim said, and you can put in, "Hey, my street light's out," or they do come in and see us. But if people call us, the lady I talked to said, lights out, and I go out and walking at night, and it's a little scary out there. So I got a hold of David. He went up the next morning and got a hold of Duke to get it fixed. So
Sure.
But as far as having just someone out doing that job, I mean, we don't have just someone doing that. But I did talk to David now that we got 2 more people to hire. It looks like probably within the next week or 2, and we'll be completely full, 11 people in streets. So, yes, and we're getting a lot of other positions filled. So I hear what you're saying, and we're going to give it a shot. Or we're going to do it all the time? No, we got too much work to do. But when we do hear that it's out, we do immediately. Actually, the supervisor calls Duke.
Mark, I sure hope we don't give it a shot. I hope we accomplish it.
Well, that's the word I use. I mean,
Yes, sir.
yes, when we find out, but again, it's citizens who call and say that the light's out on my street. So any citizen, if they don't want to, go online, which I get it, all they got to do is call us and we'll check it out. It's out. Then we we want to get them, up and going too.
Right, but it's not a one and done type thing. This is a continual thing. So there's nothing wrong with a citizen helping out the city that they live in.
Exactly.
By
Listen,
if they
you
if they
guys
take a
listen.
walk around the lake and they see 2 lights out, either go online or call Mark and give them a poll number. That's part of a responsibility of living in a
I think you guys
city.
are missing the whole point. Only thing I'm trying to say is that it would be great if we got citizens go around, especially south of Cornell. Okay, let's talk about south of Cornell.
Okay.
It would be great if we just got residents just out there, just online. This is out and this is out. That would be beautiful. That would be a beautiful picture. But that's not the picture. That's not the real accurate picture. That's all I'm saying. And somewhere the city is gonna have to step their game up during the daytime and find out if those lights work during the daytime, so they're operable at night. That's all I'm saying.
Those lights don't belong to us, they belong to Duke Energy.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, there's people that live on every single street inside the city. So if your light's out on your street, guess what? You're the one that's going to call. So
I have a question.
go ahead.
The mosquito sprayer that we have, does that still go out at night? In the summertime or the spring or whenever?
Last year it didn't because I found out they've been doing it and nobody's been certified to do it, so we didn't do it.
So then maybe if we get somebody that's certified, I don't know, maybe that person while they're driving around could just take note of what lights look like they're out. If that's even, possible.
No, I don't, yeah.
As a small fix to the
Honestly, I'd rather
situation.
them pay attention to drive, not hitting anything, but, I think it's between us trying to do it and the citizens calling it in. If we got to put it out on our website or Facebook, that, hey, if you got a light out on your street, get a hold of the city clerk. She's sitting there, nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that's the main issue is that the vast majority of people don't understand that they could actually do that. They don't know that you can. It's so easy to go online and just put the number in there. If everybody fully understood that, then it would probably be done without anybody having to ask. But
Less than about 3 weeks, it's not gonna get dark until like 8:30 at night, so.
exactly. It's just it's very much a losing proposition to ever say that you're going to have a staff member that is their top priority is to go out and find all these streetlights that are out, because it's a very large area and you're going to wind up paying a whole lot of money for basically for nothing, because as soon as they get done, even if it gets fixed, it might be broken in a month or it might be broken in 20 years. We don't know. And so it's a constant battle, and that's why it works out good for everyone that lives on every street. If you have a problem, speak up about your problem. So.
Yep.
All right. So a little bit lost as to do we have a motion yet or no?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion to add the 2 lights for the $17 a month?
I move that motion for item number D16, please.
Okay. We have
I'll
a motion
second.
and we have a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 17. This would be Cox Pest Control quote for the continued services.
can I just make one more comment about the lights real quick?
Please.
I just want you to make sure you realize that a citizen came to me and told me about the issue, and a citizen made an appointment with me to take me out to that location we're just talking about at night to see the issue, and that's how this issue got brought up. So citizens do speak up, and citizens do call me and contact me and ask me to help and see what we can do. And like I said, I was the one that initiated through Duke Energy 4 or 5 years ago to save the city money and to make the city brighter by changing every city light, changing to LED, because the LED lights last longer, they're much brighter. So things can get done. All you have to do is volunteer to do it. And if you just told everybody, if every street light that's near your house, if you see it go out, call the city and report it. It doesn't take much to it. Other than that, I'm done. Next one.
All right. Cox Pest Control. Melody, I see your name there.
Yep. As you guys are aware, the community center has dry wood termites. Our purchasing agent went out and got 4 different quotes. The lowest one came in from Cox Pest Control at $9,725. At the last meeting, council requested that we ask about the warranty. So the first year, it's included in the $9,725, and it's optional for each year after that at $1,755.
Okay. So basically, if you pay it for another 5 or so years, then you're have paid for the whole service over again.
Correct.
So,
And this is a budget increase. This is not budgeted, so it will be a budget increase if
Okay.
you choose to approve it.
so what does the council think about doing it the one time or doing the continued service? Jim had a line of speaking last time, basically indicating that more than likely your annual renewal is going to wind up being more than just simply paying for the service again. I think was kind of your point, right?
Yeah, and that actually came from the person that's on here. His name is Marlon from Cox. He's the one that told me that.
Speak into that microphone there, Jim.
Pardon me?
Your microphone.
Their microphone was away from your mouth, so you could.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, actually, the person on here from Cox is the one that told me about that several years ago, that usually it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 years normally before they come back. That doesn't mean they won't come back the next year. I think the fact that they give us 1 year free is really great. And so then then you have to decide, well, do you want to take the risk of having a problem like in the next 5 years, or you think you can maybe go 8 to 10? I'm sure nobody here probably knows the last time we had termites in that building or how long it's gone. But so it's something that everybody has to decide on their own. Is it worth paying the insurance with what you're doing, or will we end up paying more than if we waited? Of course, if we do wait 8 or 10 years, the price could go up 10 or 25% too. So it's one of those half a dozen, 6 of this, one other that you want to pay for it for insurance programs so that you're covered all the time, or do you want to wait to see if we get 10, maybe 20 years out of it? If we knew how long it was in between the last time we had it, that'd make it a lot easier. I'm sure nobody in staff knows the last time we had it tented, but I really don't, other than the Brickell building, I don't know of any too many buildings that, maybe 1 or 2 on Main Street that had to be termited, so it's all up to each individual to decide whether they think it's worth insurance, but I definitely know we have to have it tented and taken care of now.
Well, unless you have some sort of a wood cathedral, something that is, strictly made of wood, that is a species that the termites would aggressively attack, I don't think it's really worth paying the annual fee. If the annual fee was a lot lower, then sure. But I think being this high, you're going to wind up having termites there probably for several years before you even realize it. And they could be back in a day, or they could be back in 20 years. You don't know. They swarm every single year in Florida.
Twice a year, actually.
Yeah, twice a year. And these are the dry woods, which are the swarming type. And who knows, you might get subterranean the next time. So
I've talked to Orkin before quite a few times about other buildings, and they said the same thing. The insurance is not really worth it because you don't have to tent every time. Even if they did come back in 2 or 3 years, they could spot treat it rather than going through the entire process of tenting the whole building.
right.
Good.
Okay. Well, it was worth an ask, and the number came back a lot higher than I was expecting, so I think we should proceed. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion on D17 to approve the pest control quote and to
Okay.
approve the budget, or increase the budget.
Okay, in the amount of $9,725?
Yes.
All right, do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Any further questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, if I could ask for 5 minutes to go use the restroom, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
I think I'll do that too.
Bet.
Be careful what this is.
I tried. I tried.
I'd like to order takeout, please.
You better hurry.
Jerry? I think a medium, mushroom, ham, extra cheese, pizza. And a pasta salad.
Change your mind? Oh. Ooh.
One time I don't bring my sweater and I need my sweater. Go fill it up in there. Oh, I don't have a water faucet.
Mr. Bernard. All right, now that we've left Mark in suspense for long enough, we'll move on to item number 18, city manager contract renewal. Jerry, do you want to take us through this?
Sure. So I corresponded with the city manager regarding the agreement, and what you have before you really is really pretty much everything. The only thing I've changed that is not in here in red line is about his vehicle and things like that, that perks that you already have accepted. The red line, I wasn't sure about this, so I left that for your attention. And the big thing, obviously, is the base salary. And I leave that to you all to discuss.
Okay. So, some key points here. Obviously, we're looking at a 3-year term as the proposal. You've got the health insurance as one of the red lines. Basically, Mark would like to be able to take the payment for the health insurance in lieu of if he's already has his own insurance, which is similar to what all of the council people here have the option to do and some other employees. You've got the base pay rate will need to be set, and the car was a simple change. That was from may provide a car to shall provide a car. And then we also have the severance pay is changing from 8 weeks to 20 weeks in the event that the city terminates him, not if he leaves willingly. Is that all the changes you can see? See, Jerry?
Yep, that's all the changes that I
Okay.
can recall.
Sick pay or vacation pay?
Vacation.
I read that, but I can't see it right now.
Was there any change to vacation?
I don't
No.
think it-
No.
Yeah, the severance only deals with if it's without cause.
Okay,
Right.
There was no changes on sick days either?
No.
Okay, thanks. That's
Okay.
good. It's pretty simple.
All right, so I'll just start out. I think Mark's done a fantastic job. He's picked some really good people. It's definitely one of his strong suits is picking good people, building good morale at the city. We've got a functional city. We've got a functional group. They're able to actually start to get things done. I think we have a long ways to go. We have a lot of good initiatives that we've started. Probably going to take years to complete a lot of it, but I think we're heading in the right direction. So I definitely am in favor of sticking with Mark, and just comes down to working out the particulars of the contract that everybody can agree with and move forward. But that's all I'll say for now. If anybody else has any questions or comments, please.
I'd be happy to speak up. And first of all, I hope that everybody on this council, if you have an opinion or a question, I hope that you would speak up, because I think it's good that we do this together as a group team. I know I went and met with Mark, and we talked for a good hour, maybe hour and a half, about a lot of things. And so let me just start off by saying that when he was first hired, I think it was a 6-month trial thing. And I think at the end of that, there was a possibility that he may get an additional $5,000 raise. But I don't know how that vote would have gone with that council at that time, but Mark graciously said he didn't want it, and so I give him credit for that. So in my opinion, I think he deserves that $5,000 now. As far as the medical reimbursement, we get that. I think we're the only ones that get that. I think he definitely deserves that, and so that is approximately $7,400. And so, other than that, I think that for somebody who came in with no city experience other than being a sheriff, it might have been a little bit of a slow start. But I think that finally, after a year and a half, I agree with the mayor. He's done a really good job of getting the right people in the right places. I think that up until recently, with a problem, we had probably one of the best support staffs upstairs in City Hall, and I'm very grateful for the fact that it's always open and friendly to come in there to talk and meet and be able to talk to any person on the city, whether it's in the building or outside on the streets. I think he put a lot of great people on the outside. I think he hired, I don't know whether he doubled the amount of people we have, but that was something we needed definitely, because of the fact that we really needed people to do the job, and we need qualified people. And I think that what Mark really brings to us more than anything is his leadership to eventually figure out whether he gets help from somebody else to make a decision to get the right people. And I think that especially the last year, except for maybe the last couple of months, we lost a couple key people. I give him a lot of credit for that. I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. So one, I think that he definitely should get the $5,000. I think he should get the health benefits. And so other than that,
we're going to go through each thing specifically,
Oh.
so that way we can vote on each thing to make sure that we don't get lost here. So
okay.
Yep.
So I'll let you start first. Where you
well,
want to start?
I would just ask for general comments.
Okay.
On the thing.
That
And
was
then-
my general comments, and now
Yep.
I'll hold back to the one items at a time.
Okay. Any other general comments on performance, Mark, or?
I just got to say that I've been here a long time, I think more than most people, and I think he's done an excellent job, better than others that I've dealt with, not just here but other cities, and a lot of it I have to deal with day to day, and talk to him day to day, and I have a lot less to do with him, and I feel a lot more comfortable making decisions because I feel like I've got the whole information, that I don't have to probe for it. And his selection of staff also equally helps, because they're competent, capable, and do a really good job of lowering what I have to do, which saves you money on that end.
Okay. Anything else?
I didn't interview Mark. I didn't go talk to him. What I did do was talk to other members, other city employees about Mark, because I wanted to get a feel of how they felt about him and what they thought his position was good. For the most part, they felt pretty comfortable that he, he was a leader and that he did a great job at what he did. I mean, there was a couple that were, said you're a little difficult, but we all have those days, so I think for the most part he's doing a pretty good job.
Okay. Anything else?
I talked to Mark as well, and what I told him that I appreciated was his willingness to go back and fix all of the, I called it junk, that had been going on for quite a few years, and having to untangle a lot of messes and then go back and correct it. So I definitely appreciated that, and I would definitely like to see him stay and continue to do that, because I feel like we're making a lot of headway. I definitely think he's been an asset to the city.
Okay.
And I've been on this council for a year, and I used to go in office and talk to Mark all the time. But I had a big year last year. I lost 3 family members, and I couldn't get in to talk to Mark as much as I would have liked. There are complaints, Mark. There are good things that's said about you. My problem that I have with you is I think that you should concentrate more on some of the things that I bring to your attention. Now, don't get me wrong. I bring a lot. Well, I used to before last year. And I would put it in writing because I felt like if I put it in writing, that'll make you, respond to it. And you're doing it. I want you to know you're doing the things that I asked you to do. It's just that it's just a one time, and it's not a one time thing. It has to constantly be done. It has to continue to be done. Like, say for instance, the cutting of the grass on 17. They come out and they'll cut the grass, and one of the things they do is they won't pick up the trash. They'll cut the grass, and then you can imagine what it looks like after they cut the grass. So I say this to say, you're doing the things that I'm asking you to do. And I know I come to you a lot because the city, the residents are coming to me. It's just that the things that I ask you to do, I wish that you can be more consistent with and keep it going. Like, I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave it alone. The railroad. You jump right on it. The next day or two. Now, I'm wondering, how long is that going to last? Do I have to come back to him again and say, it needs to be cut? Can you, that's the only problem that I have. And for one moment, I don't forget you're a busy man. And right now, you're wearing 2 hats. I understand that. But I feel like I was having this issue before you start wearing 2 hats.
Okay.
I'd like to make one more comment, too. I think one of the best things I like about Mark is I, too, haven't necessarily always agreed with him. And I've been vocal about it, whether it's in meetings or even personally one-on-one whenever he met. And the best thing about it, whether we solve the issue or actually agreed or disagreed or just left it along, he's never taken it personal. And that means a lot to me to know that I can say something in this meeting, just like Bernice just said, that he doesn't pay attention to this or that or whatever, but he never holds it against you. And that's something that we didn't have in the past. You almost didn't dare say something negative because then they did hold it against you, other city managers that I've known in the past. So that, I think, is one of your great leadership points, and one of the ones that I basically makes me feel comfortable. Even if I said something negative towards you at a meeting, I could go the next day and it would be a non-incident. And so that, I think, is one of your best traits that you have, and that I appreciate very much.
Every day is a new day with Mark.
Yep.
All right, so let's get down to the particulars here. On the health insurance issue, any comments, changes?
I say yes.
Before we do that, does this position have a cap?
Total pay cap?
No, I'm not aware of any cap. You don't have a a sheet that states that, that the position doesn't pay more than this. But I think you can look back at where you have paid people in the past, and it's been substantially more than what you're paying him.
Right, I understand, but should there be a cap on this position, or should he just continue,
I
the
think-
city manager just continue to?
If you're asking my opinion is that this is one position in the city that should not have a cap. Because other positions have, well, I've gone as far as I can go here. Maybe I can go in another department or do this or become a manager in another section. He's the CEO of the city, so it doesn't go any higher than that. I think you just pay him what he's worth.
I think at one time we did have caps on some directorships or
On lesser positions, but not this
Yeah,
particular
not this
position.
one, of course,
Yeah,
but other
keep in
ones-
mind, the city council only has two positions. That's city attorney, city manager, So we don't have caps on either. But the cap is, there's 5 people up here, and if 5 people get pissed off, then
That's it.
you get a new city manager. If 5 people are happy, then they continue and you pay them what they're worth. So
And the same thing goes for complaints. I mean, there's absolutely no position in the city where you make people mad and you make other people happy. You have to as part of your job.
Sure.
Because you can't say yes to everybody. If you do, you're doing a terrible job.
Yeah, same here.
All right. So on the health insurance issue, I'm assuming that question was going somewhere.
Just for my own benefit.
Okay. All right. So on this, the city would be paying this insurance anyway. So it's not as if the city is paying more money because it's getting paid to him in a check versus providing the insurance that he already has insurance for. So it would be a benefit they would already be entitled to. I don't see any issue with it. I think you should definitely get it.
I do too.
Is anyone against this particular?
No.
Okay. So we all seem in agreements there.
Yep.
On the, in the case of a termination not for cause. So termination for cause, Mark breaks one of the particulars in this contract, and he gets fired because of that reason. None of this comes into contact. The board changes. Next board says, we don't like Mark, we want to get rid of him, but he did nothing wrong. That's where this comes into play. So currently it's at 8 weeks. He's requesting it to go to 20 weeks. So comments?
I think that's a large increase for myself. I think that's a big jump. I think more of a 50% increase, and at the end of a contract we can look at adding some more. So I personally myself would be happy from going from 8 to 12.
Okay. We have one suggestion from 8 to 12.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Nothing against you, Mark. It ain't you personal. If it was somebody else sitting over there, I think that 8 weeks to 20 weeks, that's pushing it. That's a lot. And I think what I'm looking at the most when I made that decision, I was sitting there reading today and I said, wow, from 8 to 20, we got to pay you 20 weeks after we decide we want to let you go. 20 weeks, what's that, 5 months? And then you can go on and find another job somewhere else, get paid over there while we still paying you, right? I thought that was kind of a lot.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion or?
Well, I'm willing to double it to
16?
16.
Okay. So you have a suggestion at 12, a suggestion at 16. Anything else?
I actually would go with 12.
Okay. 2 for 12.
I mean, based on all the standards that I read online, I mean, most corporations and government positions, it's 1 to 2 weeks per year that they have been with the organization, which would be at about the 8 weeks. Have you been here 3 years?
Going on 3.
Going on 3.
3 years and a couple weeks.
So,
Okay.
3 years.
I mean, I would lean closer to the 8. I wouldn't be completely opposed to going up to 12.
Are you
but-
suggesting putting a graduating scale that the longer that he's here, it adds to it, or what?
Yes. So maybe if we stay at 8 this year, just because that's already past the 2 weeks per year.
So keep in mind, once we make all of our suggestions, whatever, and we have what we're willing to provide, the other half still has to agree and all that. So my intention was to go through the 4 main items that are really up for change here, establish what the council is offering, then see where it goes from there.
Counteroffer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a 16, 2 for 12, and then we've got one for graduating scale. I will say, graduating things definitely have a incentive to stay and an incentive to do well. I know in my private business, I tend to always try to structure a payment to where it's performance based. In this case, performance it's kind of hard to quantify. You're more or less just, is the council at the time happy or not? Someone could be doing an excellent job, the council not necessarily realize it. Somebody could be doing a terrible job, but guess what? Everybody loves them and everybody's happy. So it's not necessarily quantifiable here. So we probably have to pick a number. I mean, I would be fine with doing a graduating scale. One of the things that would come into play with a graduating scale would be the length of the contract at that point. Because if it's a annual contract, then it's going to be case by case every single year anyway. Obviously, this one is requesting for 3 years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the council has to stick with 3 years. It could be 2, it could be 5, it could be whatever. So,
Well, could it graduate even though it's based on a 3-year? We could say,
yeah,
2024, add an additional 2 weeks. 2025, add an additional 2 weeks.
Sure. I mean, and that can be the intention of this current council, but if it changes, then
Right.
all that kind of goes out the window.
I'm not opposed to 12. If everybody else, agrees with 12, I'm not opposed to that. I feel like 20 is a lot, just based on the research that I did.
Okay. All right. I think on this issue, probably just picking a number would be fine. I think if we're going to do graduating scale, maybe base pay might be easier than this particular thing. There does need to be a decent amount of protection, just because if he wants to seek another city manager job, what is the likelihood that you're going to just jump into another city manager job? Pretty daggone low. You either are going to leave a place to go to somewhere, but if you're fired or terminated and then you're looking for a place, it's probably going to be a while. So we've got 2 for 12, we got 1 for 16, 1 for graduating. If you were going to pick a number, what would be your number?
I would go with 12.
Go with 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with 12, that issue. Okay. All right.
We need to vote or just say we agree or what?
Well, we'll just put all that we agree, and we'll make sure that the other half agrees, and then we'll pass.
Thank you.
If we have a favorable time there. All right. So we've got the car issue. So this is kind of a minor change. So Mark might have to help us out a little bit on this one, but basically, whenever he was hired, it said that the city may provide him a vehicle, which meant that if one was available, he would have that to drive. Typically, as I understand it, you drive your personal vehicle just about everywhere, including for city business, Sebring, Lake Placid, wherever you got to go on behalf of the city. He's requesting that he be given a vehicle by contract. So, questions, comments on that?
I have a question. Is he paid by the mile when he does that? Do you turn in a mileage?
No.
Okay. So instead of providing a vehicle, maybe we could look into maybe paying mileage according to the going rate, which I don't know what it is. It used to be 25 cents a mile, but
What you're saying,
a per diem
compensate him for the mileage for his
mileage.
own car? It's abysmal. I mean, I charge the same thing. It's 44 cents. It's less than the IRS allows.
Do we have
And this
a
is
vehicle
under Chapter
available?
112 Florida statutes. You can't give them any more than that.
Right, so it's 44 cent, you said?
44.5 cents.
According to IRS?
No, according to the state of Florida.
Oh, okay.
IRS pays more.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Mark, maybe you could outline what your plan was for a vehicle.
Well, I've probably looked at 12 to 15, maybe more city manager contracts. But the vehicle is, almost every one of them get $500, $600, $700 a month for their auto allowance, not mileage. There's a few that have a vehicle that you can use. When I got here, when I first saw the vehicle, it was a pigsty at the best. And then when we hired, and I didn't drive it, and then when we hired a public works director, because no one kept up on vehicles, he didn't have one, so he took it. And then when he was out of here, other people needed to use it because they didn't have one. And then we had the hailstorm, and people used that when their trucks was in. So yes, I drive my own vehicle. I spend wear and tear, gas, and all that, and I just do it. I preferred. There wasn't one all the time to use, and I kind of like just jumping to mine. Everything I need is there. And actually, I first put in here that a vehicle allowance, but the city of Avon Park's agreement with their city manager is very lean compared to most. I mean, it's not my turn to talk, but I will tell you that. But to me, if I'm staying here, I told the mayor the other day, I was telling her, just drive down south end of the city, bring it back, cost me $7. I'm like, I shouldn't have to be paying for that. I'm going down for a meeting on behalf of the city. And I've been doing it for 3 years, and I'm not complaining about it. I did it, you know, I just did it. But to me, I either need a vehicle, take-home vehicle that I'm using for city purposes, or I would ask for a vehicle allowance to continue driving my vehicle. And like I say, most of them are $500 or $600. I saw one $400. The administrator, the new administrator for the BOCC, she gets $500. And I'm not comparing myself. I'm just saying what's out there because I've looked at a ton of these. And well, when you're done with that, then I'll talk about the rest. But
was there a particular vehicle in mind that you were looking at?
Oh, that's here? It's a 10-year-old Durango that sits out here.
No, I mean what you intended on driving. You're requesting a vehicle in here.
Oh, no, it would be that 10-year-old Durango out there.
Oh, I see.
And then the other one, it said shall. Well, shall doesn't, I mean, it says may. May doesn't mean will or shall that, you know, provide a vehicle. So it's not going to cost, I mean, it's going to cost you the 10-year-old vehicle for me to drive and in the city to pay for gas. So
what you're getting at is that the cost of the wear and tear on that vehicle is less than the $500 a month that we would.
Well, I would say, I mean, yeah, if it was me and I'm really here saying that, yeah, I'd rather drive my own vehicle because I get in it and everything I need is there. I don't have to switch it back and forth. But for the city, it's probably be cheaper to let me drive a 10-year-old vehicle than to pay me $500 or $600 a month for my vehicle. So
yeah, okay, all right. Questions, comments on that?
If you kept it, if you used a Dodge Durango and just kept it just for you only and nobody else could use it, was that how you would handle it? Because obviously I understand your point. If somebody else needed a vehicle, you wouldn't necessarily want somebody to even take your personal vehicle. So would you have an issue if we let you take the Durango and you kept it just for yourself?
No, I mean, that would be fine. Like I said, now I think we have enough vehicles that, you know, we'd like to find one for the city staff to run around in. I was hoping to steal one or take one, but that we replaced, but that was in such bad shape, that's got to go to the auction, so.
Yeah. I think the city manager deserves his own vehicle or even $400 a month, because I know I had a job one time where they, you know, depending on where you live, now he doesn't live right in city limits of Avon Park, but he lives less than 15 minutes away, 10 minutes away, so that's not a bad ride for him. But if we then turn around and we ask him to drive to Lake Placid on his own dime, his own car, his own wear and tear, I object to that, because I had a job one time where they wanted me to be able to go out and train people like down in Okeechobee. And I said, well, why aren't you going to reimburse me for that? Because that's wear and tear on the vehicle that means I'm going to have to replace it sooner or later. So I don't think, and I appreciate the fact that you've been using your own, and I understand why you did, but I definitely think that the city manager deserves to have his own vehicle. Whether we start off with the Dodge or the other way, that's fine. But I think probably better off if we gave him that vehicle to use, because it'll probably be less insurance, where if we turn around and decide to get a brand new vehicle, the insurance on that would probably be a lot more. So I for one, if he's happy with the Dodge Durango, I'm happy with saying that's his vehicle and nobody else should have use to it.
I agree. I think he should have a vehicle as well. I mean, if he's doing all this running around for the city of Avon Park, I drive back and forth to Tampa, and I'm given a gas card to do that. So you should be compensated for, for city duties.
Well, can you get, where would you get, do we have a city gas station for the city vehicle? Could you get gas at that location?
No, we use
A card?
the county's pumps. We use the same one, then they just bill us. The same ones the sheriff's office use and county employees
So you would
use.
just need a card to authorize
Yeah,
you?
I've already got one. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm in favor of that.
Any other comments?
I would be fine with that as well.
I assumed he was talking about buying a brand new one. I didn't realize it was a 10-year-old vehicle, so I'd say you're being gracious.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, I think because of the way it was worded, we all kind of got a little mixed up.
Yeah, could have picked a Ferrari, but 10-year-old Durango. All right, now for the base pay rate. So it's been left blank. Obviously, was it left blank because you didn't want to have a requested number on there, or?
No, it's when Jerry got it back, it still had it in there, the 90, and instead of just blanking out, I told him, hey, can I just put a blank line in here? I've met with 3 of you. I've told you what I kind of want for this job, what I believe it is. $90,000 is, or the 95. And yes, I actually turned that down because of COVID. No one else got a pay raise. That's why I did. But this is not a $90,000 a year job. All you got to do is start looking at these city managers and see what they make. I'm requesting $130,000, as I've told 3 of you. And, as I told the ones I got to speak to, and I had a good time talking to Jim about a few different things, and the mayor and Brittany, and I'll be honest, I never had any thought of being a city manager, and certainly never working in Avon Park. I mean, with what we know used to go on here, but I was led here, and I was speaking to a county commissioner today about something. And he said, "Man, I can't believe nobody can believe you made it 3 years there." And, him and I had a good chat on why we both think I lasted that long. And Jim, I appreciate, and others have said too, about, hiring. And, you never know who you're going to get to you. Someone can look great on paper and they're just not a great employee. But we've got some people on the left and right here, and the ones that aren't here today, we've got some really good employees that work their butts off for this city. And I would like to stay here. Do I have other things I could probably go and do? Sure, probably most of us do. But I'd like to stay here and continue on what we've built so far. We've got a good team here, council and the city manager working together for most of it, and giving our employees, the pay raises and where they should be, and, giving us, we've had to up the millage rate, but, shame on the one who talked people into going down to 0.3 and why we're in despair on vehicles and that. But this year, we probably shouldn't have to ask for maybe any vehicles. In the past 2 months, we've been putting people on left and right. We're almost full. We've got 3 people that myself and Melody have looked at that are actually qualified to put in for the human resource director, that I've sent them emails and told them that we'd be getting with them soon to look at them. Public Works director, we're not going to get one for $80,000, not going to happen. I've had 2 people put in that have no experience in utilities, it's just roads basically, and they both want 90 just to start. So, and that's for a future talk about, but we're never going to get somebody in that for that kind of money. But this job is not a $90,000 a year job. In the past 3 years, you know how many Monday through Fridays I've taken off? None. I haven't even taken a week off. I've taken 4 days like 2 times, and that's in conjunction with 2 holidays because not much goes on during the holiday. And people say, well, you take time off. No, I can't. There's too much going on here. And not that I'm the best or whatever, but there's things that staff tell you sitting here that aren't going to get done because we're treading water with a lot of stuff. Sick leave, I'm not taking 1 day in 3 years. And I would like to stay here, but I can't I can't do it at $90,000 for what I do. This is, you look around, and the lowest one in cities closest to us are 155, 160. The Bartow city manager, they're about 7,000 more. He just started at 180. I mean, they're paying money out there. I told Randy there was a position came open a couple, maybe 6 months ago that my resume would have been jam up for. That paid $180,000. But, you know, I had a contract here. I wanted to fill it. I got, you know, there's a reason I'm here, I feel, but I've been honest with you since I've been here, transparent, and I'm not staying here for $90,000. I'd like to. I don't want to leave, but I'm not going to continue to do this job. And I mean, I'm the CEO, basically, of a organization of 100 people. And that's just low pay. And I know Avon Park, again, I'll be honest, has always wanted to pay employees really low, trying to get the best for low pay. And I'm not using myself example. I'm using directors and that we're bringing in. And so I'm asking for $130,000. And I'm going to stand firm on it. Again, I'm going to be honest with you. And I'd like to stay here, but for the amount of money, I put in too many hours. I go to city events to represent the city all the time. Some events, you know, might not go to if I wasn't city manager, but I go. And the city needs to be represented. And you know, I'll bring up something that Shelley brought up. She had told Melody, you know, I didn't talk to Mark. I wanted to talk to the employees we did because Mark's going to probably say he's doing good, but I wouldn't if I wasn't. But you're right, because, you know, they once asked me in an interview on a police chief job, which actually I was the top one picked out of 77 people, and then thanks to a mayor, I didn't end up there. But they asked me, when somebody does your evaluation, how should we do it? And I said, easy. You come in and you talk to the receptionist and ask, how does Mark talk to you when he comes in more? How does he treat you? You talk to citizens I've dealt with. You talk to, you know, other, in this case, other county managers, how we deal. Or you can go up and down Main Street. I mean, I can start at the Jack when I'm talking to people there, the employees there. Jamie Bateman, and then George, he's left, and how I deal with him, and talk to Dan with the Brickell Building, because I deal with him a lot, and Nancy Fisk, who was here. Those are the people you want to talk to. They're the ones that are going to tell you what I do. And I don't know what they'd tell you. It'd be up to them. But that's, to me, how you evaluate somebody. You can't evaluate somebody by sitting here every 2 weeks with me and nothing. You know, Bernice and I have very good talks when she has the time to come in. But, you know, I can't make someone cut the grass alongside, you know, CSX Railroad and that. And there's more that can be done here, and I would love more time to get out and do things, but I can barely leave the office with everything we got going on. Right now, Jeff Schmucker got with me, and if I stay here, we'll be getting with Jerry and some others, because we got to figure out capacity fees or capacity on water, whether we have it, because we've got a bunch of developers wanting to develop. I mean, lots of them. Randy said this is the busiest he's ever been. So there's a lot going on here. I'd love to get out more and talk to people on that, but there's a ton of stuff going on. And I won't ramble on any more on that, but I'm really firm on this. This is not a $90,000 a year job.
I just want to add one additional comment with regard to the hours that he works. I mean, he and I have corresponded Friday nights, weekends, holidays. You know, I know he works those because, you know, I not too long ago, he sent me an email, you know, had a lot of information. It was like 6:30 at night, and I was thinking about replying back to him like, what the heck are you still there for? But that's just an example.
Yep, I can remember plenty of times, you know, it might be when I get home at the end of the day before I, you know, think of something that I had meant to tell him or, you know, ask him to do or whatever. And so I'll, you know, send him an email late in the night. I usually end it with, please don't respond till Monday or whatever, but, you know, he does anyways. So he's definitely always been there, definitely went above and beyond in a lot of ways, and provided some much needed stability to the city. You know, I've sat here, like I said, through 4 city managers, and it's been a crap show many times, And the stability and the future of the city did not look very good from an employee standpoint. We were losing people left and right, or we were just outright kicking people out. And he's really stepped in and picked some good people and tried to put in a succession line of stability that way the job can get done regardless of who has to leave or who quits or whatever. And so I think he's really done a great job there. I agree that a pay increase is in order, and it's up for us to decide how much that should be. He's requesting $130,000. I think a little bit of documentation from the other cities might help a little bit to see how many other places out there are paying much more. There's a lot of them. He did mention a few cases, that are paying, $180. I'm definitely not in favor of, giving away any tax dollars that don't need to be given away, or trying to help someone just because, I like what they're doing or whatever. But I think that he definitely does deserve an increase, and so I think that we should sit down and figure out what we can do and what we feel comfortable with and offer it to him and see where it goes. So, do we have any suggestions?
I have comments and maybe a suggestion, but like I said, I think Mark has actually done better than I thought he would do, and I think that the city's in better shape because of him, and I think he deserves a definite a raise. I don't necessarily. One thing I have to worry about is how much of a raise we give to have to tell the citizens and taxpayers how much we increase, how much we pay them. The other thing you have to look at is if we give them that big of a raise, then you times 3 years, you're looking at basically we gave them a whole year's pay at the end of 3 years. So that to me is like a pretty large increase. And the other thing is I have to look at is if we give somebody that large of a pay raise, and after 3 years or even after 2 years he decides he's going to move on, then that's going to be our starting point to hire somebody in the future. So that to me is, I'm not saying you don't deserve it, but I'm saying is it's a really, really, really big jump. So I like to give percentages. That's what I like to do is, because what we've given our employees in the past, other than the one time we gave everybody a raise to get them up to minimum wage, we gave everybody, I think, a 3% raise. I think we gave that to them twice. And I thought that was more fair to those employees. Does the city manager deserve a 3% or 5% raise? Absolutely not. I originally was thinking more like a 10% raise, but I think that now that I look at it, if we add the $5,000 into it that he originally turned down because of COVID, I think if we gave him a 15% pay raise to that, I think that would be fair. And that because we also don't forget that in 2 years we could have a different city council people up here and anything could happen. And so I'm not saying he's not worth what he's asking. I'm just saying I personally feel a 15% pay rate increase is a large increase, and I think that I could deal with citizens asking me why, because I think it was fair. I'm just throwing that out there, and I'm waiting for everybody else's opinion.
One food for thought is, earlier Brittany had mentioned a graduating scale or some type of incentive package. So in this case, there's been a lot of hard knocks that he had to go through, and a lot of money that's been expended in training and just trying to get the team together and get everything going. Now that's already in place. He's been there for 3 years. Things are going in a good direction. I don't hear anybody saying that the direction is bad. I think we all agree that we're going in the right direction. So now that we've expended all this money and all this time and effort to get to where we are, perhaps a bonus structure to where every year gets more and more throughout the life of the contract, that would be an incentive for him to stay each additional year. And it would also keep us going in that same direction. So, throwing that out there, and I'll wait until the other three respond.
I like that idea too. I like the idea that maybe we give them a one-time large bonus now, and then just raise his salary a certain percentage, and then every year we look at to see if he deserves a bonus besides his salary. That's a possibility to look at.
Well, obviously, you can give a bonus to any person that you wish, but.
Yeah.
So that could be done at any time. Anyway,
I'd like to make a comment. Mark, I too think that a $30,000 raise, that's a big raise 3 years, that's a big raise. And my other thing that sticks out, that it still sticks out with me today, from the time it happened, I can think about it. I just wish, Mark, that you was as passionate today as you were when we was talking about employees' pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Avon Park employees, they on a very low scale. And I always say you're only as good as the people that work under you. And no one seems to be pushing that, especially you, Mark, as the city manager. No one seems to be pushing a higher pay. You know, we set it up where we're in 2025, they're going to reach that $15 mark. We didn't even want to do a lot for the employees, $1, $2 or whatever. We was waiting for, that step to happen. But now we here today, and we want a $30,000 raise. I just wish you had, I watched you as you spoke. I just wish you had that same passion when we was talking about our city employees.
I believe he did at that particular time. He was probably the most passionate person speaking.
No, I think it
for
was
the-
more me and Miss
Okay.
McClure. I think it
Let's-
was us.
Well, that's your opinion. Anyway, do you have a suggestion or
I'm for 10.
a 10,000 raise? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
For 10.
I'd like to talk about the employee thing myself, 'cause I disagree with Ms. Taylor because of the fact that I remember that
Yeah.
when we first I think we gave a blank $1 an hour raise minimum to everybody, and some got a little bit more because they had to step up. I talked to a lot of employees. I even went out to Public Works Department and got permission to talk to some employees. I've talked to them while they're out there on the street. I've talked to members of the fire department on the raise. I actually talked to an employee that's one of the upper range employees that's been here a very long time, and he's told me that the 95% of the employees are extremely happy with the pay that they're making now. And I think the fact this council actually should be proud of the fact that with or without Mark, but I think Mark supported it too, that we said, let's give them the raise. They deserve it. And I think that because there were some that were just barely making minimum wage. And now what's the lowest pay? 14 or something?
1442.
Yeah. So, and like in a couple of years, it'll be like almost 16, I think. So what I've talked to, just between me and you, most employees I talk to, and I try to talk to them a lot because I'm one of the persons that doesn't have a full-time job. So I'm out driving around and I say hello and I ask how you guys do. When I come to City Hall, I see people working in and out. I talk to the fire department guy. They all say they're pretty happy with what they got. They were all excited when they got the big raise last time.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing a pretty good job, and whether we give credit to Mark or not give credit, I think we should all deserve credit. I'm proud of the fact that I think we pay people, because it used to be, people used to say, yeah, but look at all the benefits we give them. Look at all the benefits we give them. Well, the benefits are good, but the health benefits change from time to time. But I think we're finally getting to the point where we actually are paying the people a decent wage. Not only that, it seems that they'd be happy, but look at the fact. He's able to hire new people. 2 years ago, he couldn't hire anybody because the wages were too low. But now, because the wages are what they are, to be able to start off, they're very happy to start with the benefits, knowing that in a couple of years, they're going to be making $16 an hour. So I'm sorry that I don't necessarily agree with you, but I think most employers are happy with their pay. Everybody wants an increase. I'd like an increase up here. I asked the city council to get an increase before I ever got elected 15 years ago, and I don't think the city council's ever gotten a raise to themselves, because we're here to serve the people and we're happy with what we get. But I think most employers are happy, and I think that Mark looks after them. I think the fact that he's shown that he can hire more, and that the majority of them has turned around and stayed and have kept staying. So I think he's doing a good job with his relationship with them. I mean, all you got to do is go up to the staff on City Hall and ask them how they're doing, and they're all happy. They're all smiling. I mean, it's like it's a great atmosphere as a city councilman to walk up to City Hall and walk in and see everybody, and everybody says hi, and everybody's smiling, and any employee you see on the way in says they're happy. So I think that they're happy.
Yep. All right. So we're discussing base pay rate.
Yes, sir.
So nothing else. Just base pay rate. We got
Okay.
two left. Any comments, suggestions?
Not done my calculations yet.
Okay. I mean, I'd try to do some research online just to see what traditional positions, the increase that usually they have each year. Most places are only between like 4.6 and 6% increase. I didn't know about the extra 5,000 that you turned down, so I definitely would say if that was promised way back then or even offered, then that should definitely be included into it. And then I would like to put in the contract about an additional percentage for each following year. As far as a number, I mean, if my research, so I'd like to see what you have from the other cities and things like that, but all of my research said that an average city manager makes usually around $104,000 to $106,000 on a couple of different websites. May not be accurate, like I said, that's the website. So,
Do you have any list or anything?
Just the ones I wrote down here. Lake Wales in 2020 was paying their city manager $155,000. Auburndale was $155,844, and Bartow just started theirs at $180,000. And I saw, and yeah, there's websites out there, but they're not correct. I went and actually saw city manager contracts and/or the newspaper article that says how much they're making. So.
Okay.
The Sebring, I don't know what Scott makes down there as the administrator. Again, they have a different form of government or government. Thank you. That's why they call them administrator. But their lowest pay is 102. Their medium pay is 131, and the top pay is 159.
Mark, did you get Lake Placid?
No, I don't know what Lake Placid is, but it's okay. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Anything else?
I do agree with the pay, the percentages per year. Start with a larger percentage at the beginning, and then each additional year, increase it by a percentage. I was thinking maybe between the 15% for the first year, and then maybe 10 and 10 for the second and third year, because there is this insurance that, you know, what is that per year? 10,400?
7,400.
7,400?
7,400, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of stick with mine, the percentages.
If you go 15, 10, and 10, I think that ends up being more than 130.
Well, he would be right up there where the other cities.
Just wanted to, thank you.
I mean, I totally agree that his base pay is lower than it should be for a city manager.
Well, just a suggestion. I think we're kind of coming back to a percentage-based deal. So it's currently at 90,000 even, right?
Well, yeah, he makes 90,000 now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So a 20% increase in the beginning would bring you up to 108. And then if you did 10% every year after that, and of course, keep in mind, we're under control of how many years that is. So, you know, if it goes on for 17 years, you know, that's because the council did it. But we're specifically discussing 3 years here. So if you did 20% in the beginning, brings you up to 108, and then 10% a year after that. So that'd be another 10,000. The next year would be 118, and then be what, another 11,000 beyond that. It bring you almost to what he's asking for at the end of that 3 years. It's a step bonus. It's an incentive, and keep in mind we're simply putting something together to pitch to the other side of the table here and see where it goes. So
I personally like that idea. I would vote for that.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Do we feel comfortable with that?
I would.
Got 2,
I would.
3. Shelley?
Oh,
She already said yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So then we're all in agreement as of right now. So we're looking at basically doing a 20% increase first year, 10% a year after that. The car situation has been agreed, insurance agreed, and the sick pay is offered at 12, was it?
Seventh pay is 12, yeah.
12. Okay.
There was one thing I wanted to ask you about the sick pay. Can I ask you real
Yeah.
quick? Where he loses after, let's see, 240 hours, any accrued sick leave in excess of 240 hours after payout will be forfeited. So if he has 245, the 5 will be dropped off.
Right.
I think that should be increased, honestly.
Should be what?
You think you should be able to build up more sick pay?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is there a particular reason?
Well, because, a lot of times that's just, I think that since we decreased the severance pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're also giving an additional 6 weeks pay. You at 24. So
It's at 12.
He had 8. We're going to 12.
I'm talking about your sick pay change.
There was no change to sick pay.
No, she just brought it up though.
Right.
Right. That just to drop it off after 240 hours. What is
Yes.
that? 240
Yeah.
divided by what? 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then if he did get severance pay at 12,
Does he get a vacation time, or is that included as his sick pay?
I don't.
I didn't
Sure.
didn't notice that.
Well, I tend to agree with the line of thinking is that, it's something that you've accrued. And so you're basically punishing someone for not being sick.
Exactly. Why would
So,
you punish somebody for
Right.
not being sick? You're
So,
right.
You would want an employee that doesn't take sick leave and doesn't take vacation leave for that matter and lets it accrue. And then at the end, they,
Yeah, but then eventually you pay him anyways, and at a higher rate.
It's an incentive to keep them, from calling out.
Okay.
Sure.
Not that Mark would, but
So we have a suggestion there. I'm agreeing. What does the other 3 say? But we haven't agreed on a number. But I'm just saying, do you agree with the notion that it should be raised?
yes. Yes.
To a maximum.
We haven't picked a maximum yet, but yeah, we're just talking about raise in general.
Sure, I'll go
Okay.
with everybody.
Jerry, is there any legal issue with raising the amount? Is 240 a statute, or is that just an arbitrary number?
The only thing there's a statute on is the severance pay,
Okay, and that statute is
20 weeks.
20 is the maximum?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so the sick leave, what would you like to raise it to? Obviously, it can't go on forever.
It's in 240. Let's see. Hold on just a second.
So it's 120 hours per year is the maximum. So if you didn't take a single sick day, then you're only talking about 360 additional hours for the life of this contract.
360?
That's if you took no sick time, which everyone's going to get sick at some point.
Have you taken a sick day? Have you been out sick in the whole 3 years you've been here?
He said no, didn't he?
No, but that doesn't mean I won't need to. Things come up, but it. All right, go ahead.
I guess I'm just getting at, you haven't taken one yet, so.
No, I appreciate that, but I'm pretty steadfast on what I'm asking. So, if we're way off, then it's not going to work. And again, I want to be honest. I heard that they said, well, I don't know if Jim said it, that, well, if we pay him that much, the next one comes in and expect that much. You were paying the person before I came the one before that didn't make it a year, you make that $130,000, and the one before that $130,000. So you've been paying that money. And I usually don't go back at a council member. You never heard me, but to say I wasn't passionate about the money I'm all for the employees. I've done nothing but try to get these employees not only money, but I got here. They weren't even following OSHA standards. They're out here without even proper uniforms on and that stuff. So I'm all for the employees, and that's the only one I will speak up to, because it was actually on a Sunday night, my Sunday night, which I work most weekends, something here. Like Jerry, said, there's 7 o'clock on Friday nights, you can find me upstairs, because there's just so much I can't leave till Monday. And again, I'm not saying that, but it was getting to the point. I was home on a Sunday, my Sunday, and that's when I was doing the pay scales to get in front of you to say, do you agree with this, and how much is going up? Some of our employees got $7 an hour raise from what they were making. So to say I wasn't for the employees, that one I have to take a little offense to.
Sure.
Mark, I meant the pay raise.
And
Not
again, I'm not, what you said, I get, I'm not mad at what you said. I'm just saying that to say I wasn't passionate about that. And I'm not showing passion now. I'm being honest. I mean, I'm just being honest with the council, as I always am. But it's too far away from, really, for me to negotiate, I've put out the number, and I don't want to, I don't have another job lined up or that, but I'm not going to continue to do this jet. Yeah, I took it at $90,000, and then I almost didn't because it was so low. I talked about it with my counselor at the time, an attorney, and, most people didn't think I'd make it 6 months, make it like the rest of the city managers here and gone. As far as a severance, I put in 20 because when you get let go without cause, that isn't fair because I'm signing a contract. I'll be here for 3 years, so I'm here, and then you just let you go, and you just don't go out and find a job. First, it's got to be opening, then you got to get on a short list, and then you got to hope there isn't already an interim in there that's going to get the job anyway. So that's why I put the 20 in there. I mean, I think that's only fair to the employee. In fact, all the ones I've looked at, every one of them had 20 except one had a 12. But that's a standard is the 20 for that reason. But again, I appreciate what you said about sick leave or annual leave getting paid for more than that. But to be 108 and then 118 and that, you were paying 2 city managers that used to be here 130, so you have paid that much.
But the only reason they got paid that much is because they knew that they weren't going to have a job much more than less than a year, and because of the people that supported them on the city council, they gave those people a big fat raise. They gave the city attorney a big fat raise. They gave them all raises knowing that they weren't going to be here after the election coming up. So they weren't making that for the whole 2 or 3 years that they were here, just as a matter of fact.
Well, regardless of what happened in the past, we are here and now.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope I'm not on my lane, but I'm going to just simply say that when I was in business and when I had a law firm, we looked at key people differently than anybody else. I mean, we always talk about salaries and we talk about percentages, but when you're talking about key people, what you're talking about is what's going to cost me to replace this person. And it's not about percentage. I mean, somebody else is going to attract them away for another $20,000 or another $10,000. We want to try and beat that so we don't have to train somebody else or look for somebody who may or may not work out. And the more of those people you go through, the less likely people are going to want to work for you.
Sure.
Because this is a tough place to go. You're not going to get the cream of the cream coming to work for you at that point. And I'm going on based also on the 30 years experience I have as a city attorney and seeing many, many, many city managers hired. I just feel like you need to spend more time thinking about, okay, he said you're going to lose me if you don't give me $130,000. If you're okay with that and you feel like you're going to go ahead and hire somebody else, then you're going to have to hire somebody else at less than 130 in order to justify the fact that you're not paying him that.
Okay.
Well, let me get this straight. You're saying if we don't give you everything that you asked for, you're leaving?
130.
I didn't say everything. I said that I'm asking for $130,000. If I wanted really to negotiate, I could ask for more, but that's what this job is worth. After doing it for 3 years and giving it everything I've got, and I'll give it another 3 years with everything I've got, working numerous hours on weekends and that, going to events, taking care of the citizens and especially the employees the best I can. Yes, that's what this job is worth. And like I said, I've looked at actual contracts out there, and there are ones paying a heck of a lot more for this. But I would like to stay here to help. It's not finished. Whoever comes in after me, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever years I'm here, is going to have a lot to do. They're going to have a lot to do. Whoever replaces you. There's a lot to do in this city. And the way we're growing and the contractors and developers that are coming here, it's getting more and more. But right now, I told Melody, both of us, I look out the window. I got the best office for the window other than maybe the mayor's new house and looking over the lake. But both of us are in there treading water, holding some weights over top of her head. That's where we're at right now. I mean, and she works her. If I stay here, we've got to get another position to help her out so she can supervise, because all she does is crunch numbers and that. There's a lot going on, and you know, a couple of you own businesses up there, so you know what it is about hiring employees and that. But nobody really knows what the city manager, the finance director, because you're not up there doing. You don't understand the things that go on every day. Not just to me, any city manager. I'll say that this job is not a $90,000 or $100,000 job. This thing's a $130,000 job, and I think that's a good price for a city of this size compared to what I looked at.
Okay.
So, and again, I'm being honest. We're gonna, and again, I appreciate you looking at, you know, sick leave or annual leave. If you don't use it, why are you gonna lose it and that? And there's some contracts that say indefinite amount. There's some that say the 240. But I appreciate that, but I don't want to waste your time if we're not, you know, the percentage things. It'd be all right if I'm going to be a next 20-year employee. Then you're looking at it, you're going up, but I'm not. I work for you. Jerry works for you. We're different employees than the rest of the city.
Right. Okay, so that was the first round.
To me, it'd be very difficult, Mark, to be honest with you, to explain to the citizens and taxpayers that we're going to have to give you a 45% increase in pay. That just is, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Well, let me ask you this.
Like I said, I'm not saying you're not worth it. I'm just saying that's going to be kind of hard to explain to the taxpayers that we just gave the city manager almost a 50% pay increase.
It's not about percentages, as I said.
Well,
It's
to
about
me
what
it is.
somebody's
It is,
worth.
Jerry. It is to me, because that's what it is to the citizens. You know, you have to be able to live with that. So, I mean, I appreciate your effort. I know that you like him. I like him. I want him to stay. But it's just, I think we have to be somewhere reasonable. To sit there and be saying firm, this is what I deserve, is take it or leave it. I don't really think that's a good way to go about it, but that's my own personal opinion, and everybody else can express theirs now.
And I say he has the right to it. He has the right to express his opinion. This is his life. He gets to decide what he wants. I just happen to disagree. If Mark don't want to work with us, Mark has that right. I'm like Jim. That's a lot. But you have a right to express your opinion. I just think that's a lot.
And I'm not saying I deserve it. I don't deserve anything. I'm saying this position, but yes, I appreciate it. But again, I prayed about this quite often, and too many hours for what goes on here, what I do for the increases you're talking about.
Sure. Well, the cost of replacement, just the act of replacement, would be very expensive. Even if you hired someone at the same pay rate, just the fact of, even if you got somebody with the same pay rate, the same skill set, just the warm-up time, there's going to be mistakes that are made. There's going to be inefficiencies that happen, and there's going to be a cost associated with that. No different if you had to train somebody in either one of your businesses. So you got to consider that as well. Obviously, this person has already put in, 3 years, so you know that as long as you like what they've done, then you know that they're doing the job effectively. So I think that's got to be worth something. I would just want to ask you, is there any incentive structure that you think would actually motivate you in terms of pay, as in if the third year was actually higher than 130, but it started out lower, just so that there is, would that motivate you at all or not?
I mean, I don't know, call it motivation. It's just, I think if you're gonna suggest that, I think the first year needs to be a good pay raise.
Sure.
I mean, again, I'm looking at 3 years, not 10 down the road. So.
Well, I'm just simply asking, does an additional $10,000 a year that you stay here, does that actually mean something to you in your daily life, or is that just for naught and you'd rather just be at a certain number and that's just where it is?
I would prefer a certain number, and it's there for 3 years.
Okay.
And with that, there's no guaranteed. I've been 3 years without a pay raise, this time. So.
Right. Okay.
I mean, wouldn't be asking for more. And
well, we're not going to waste our time trying to come up with something if it's not going to do it.
Right.
Right. if we just need to simply agree to a certain number or not, then that makes it simple. We can do that right now and figure it out. So we've got two that are saying it's hard to explain to voters. We've got two that have not answered yet, besides myself. So, anything?
Well, I think it'd be kind of hard to explain to the voters why we have to pick another city manager after only 3 years.
I agree with that.
I kind of feel like we could start, this is a 45% increase from what you're making now to, right, 45?
I haven't had it.
So we start at the 25, which would bring them up to 112,500, and please somebody check my figures if I want to be corrected if I'm wrong. After the second year, he would get a 10%, which would bring him to 123,750. And then at the third year, he'd get a 10%, which would bring him up to the 136, which is a little bit more than what you want.
And he's already said he's not trying to do a percentage. He's already said
Right, but you're going to stay here for 3 years. So you will get your 136 over the span of 3 years.
Well, under that, yeah, that'd be the last year on what you said, but.
Well, I think in order for it to be exactly what you're saying, is you'd basically have to pay more than what he's asking in the end. So essentially, if it's 3 years, for example, to make it simple, you do 120 the first year, 130 the second year, and the last year is 140, which would actually add up to 130 all 3 years.
Right. Okay, well.
You know, which it is an incentive and it is the same amount of money, and the only downside to him would be if he intended to leave in the first year, then that would be bad for him. But anytime past that, he's basically getting what he's asking for. So, and that was just for a round number, you know.
Oh, I gotcha.
But, any comments on that, or any other suggestions, or?
I mean, I still like the graduated salary. I don't agree with the last two getting the 130 right off the bat. I feel like that was a wrong decision way back then.
Sure.
And I feel like, I mean, when I talked to Mark today, I feel like there's been a lot of areas that the city has had to fork out a lot of money recently to go back and fix mistakes that were done. So we've dished out a lot. It's not to say that we won't have it in the future to dish out, but I feel like it's a hard ask right now, personally, to try to explain it to people an additional $45,000 or $40,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you give this increase and then, there's another tax increase, you can guarantee people are going to complain about it, and rightly so, you know. So because it looks like, you know, oh, well, you raised the salary and now that's the reason, even though that's a tiny fraction.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's not how the average person's probably going to view it. So it's certainly something to think about. But at the end of the day, I mean, you do have to pay the position for what it's worth to get somebody qualified in that position. And so how are we going to figure that out? Well, it's probably pretty difficult for anybody sitting up here to be able to say without, you know, some sort of a detailed study to say that this is what it's worth and this is what it takes, and if we do this, it's going to work. You just can't do it. So,
well, and it's all up to the individual as well. Yeah, he puts in 200%. I mean, I have employees that aren't worth what they get paid, and I've got ones that are worth way more than they get paid, and it's up to the individual of how much they're going to put into it. And I understand that. I mean, he's called me on Sunday nights too, so I appreciate definitely 100% him willing to go above and beyond.
Yeah. So, obviously, we've been discussing this for a while.
I'd like to make another comment if I could, please.
Go ahead.
First of all, I really appreciate the fact that Brittany really does her homework when it comes to certain things like this. She really looks into, you know, she just doesn't come up with percentages and dollar amounts and figures sort of like which is what I did. But she does her homework and she looks at positive things to come up with, or something that's fair. So, and I really did appreciate the fact that you said that if we don't at least read a negotiable agreement tonight, and we have to start from scratch. I don't want to start from scratch. We don't know what else we would get. I think with Mark, we know what we got, and I think, to be fair, And as they say in the real estate business, this is my best and final offer. I think that that you love the city of Avon Park as much as we do, and I think that you are willing to be fair about it. And so my best and final offer is, I agree with what the mayor said. Let's give them 120 to keep them, 130 the next year, and then something the third year.
140?
Or 135, whatever. But I think to give them a jump to 120, I think that's a decent enough raise, big enough raise to keep you here. And I think that you're a fair man, and I think that you love the city, and hopefully some of the hardest, difficult stuff we've gone through in the last 2.5, 3 years won't be as difficult because of what you've done up until now. So that's my best and final offer. Otherwise, I can't say yes. And I think I'm being more than fair because we've already come up another $15,000+ the first year. So plus the $5,000 I originally said, plus the health benefits. So I'm hoping that you love Avon Park as much as I think you do, and I hope that you'll say yes to that offer.
120, 130, 135. Mark, are we wasting our time?
No.
Okay. Did the other two?
The only other question is the severance. He mentioned something about for sure wanting 20.
Okay. So if we did the, let's just say this. If we did the 120, 130, and 140, would you be willing to go to the 12-week severance?
Well, seeing Jerry and our jobs are good for 2 weeks, we never know who three's going to say no, but yes.
Okay.
I'm not here to take the city for anything other than what I feel I deserve. So
I know you're not, Mark. I have full faith in you. I know you're going to do a great job. Whatever time you're here, I know it's going to be you're going to be have the city's best interest in mind. I know you're going to give it 110%. I've seen you give 110%. I've seen you give 130%. You know, you've gone above and beyond, as I said many times, and I'd be willing to tell anybody that. So if this council, is anybody opposed to the 120, 130, 140 in base pay rate over the next 3 years, 12 weeks,
What happened to the
and the other two?
135?
So give it up.
He said, yeah, he said 130.
At 130, then 135 the third year.
We have a deal at the 120, 130, 140.
Instead of going 20 weeks or 20.
So what about 135?
the 140 sounds good.
Okay. All right. You know what? Like I said, I can't say you're not worth it because of the fact that I've never dealt with it or seen a city manager do the kind of work that you've done here, and for the benefit of the city, knowing that I think that a lot of people have different opinions of how good or how great of your job you've done. I wouldn't say you've been the best city manager that you've had, but I definitely.
Don't take it personal.
I definitely like you as the best city manager we ever have, and I like working with you better than any city manager I've ever seen since I've been here. So I agree with that offer.
I just simply say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've seen a lot of city managers, and he's top notch.
Yep.
I agree. Who would have known a cop could be such a good city manager, right? All right.
So we agree on everything?
So, Jerry, what do you need from us exactly?
I think if Chrissy feels like she can get the stuff from the minutes and give it to me, I can make changes, or you can make changes. Whatever.
So, can we go ahead and approve it, or?
Yeah, approve what.
All the changes we made.
All the changes you made.
Okay. So, you want me to just go back through them? Somebody can say so moved?
Probably be best.
Okay. All right. So, on the issue of base pay rate, year one's 120, year two's 130, year three is 140. The issue of the car, there's a Durango that the city owns, changing the wording from will provide to shall provide.
Yep.
The insurance payment in lieu of insurance coverage was a yes.
Yeah.
And the severance pay request is changing from 8-week severance pay to 12 weeks
Yep.
for firing without cause.
Right.
Yes.
No other changes.
Did we decide on the losing the?
We didn't, but it wasn't a particularly large issue either way. So
Gotcha. Let's leave it like it is.
okay.
then.
All right, so does someone want to make that motion? You can say so moved.
So moved, please.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. And the questions, Mark, you're good with everything there?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Councilmember McCure?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mark, thanks again.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank each of you. It's nice to have 5 votes this time. I got 3 to last, and none of them are even here anymore.
Was that you, Jim?
But no, in
Let's
seriousness,
not go back, as you said. Let's not go back.
seriousness, thank you. I know I was stern, but I appreciate all of you and everything you put out. I enjoy working with each and every one of you. I hope we can keep working together and make the city better than it is. And Jerry, I really enjoy working with you. You're a great attorney, one of the best I've ever worked with. You're conservative like me. I like that. But Jerry's great to work with. You all are. I appreciate it. And especially the staff. I can't forget them. That they're going to be here long after me.
Yeah, I love the staff.
And we're going to get some more good ones on there so that someday when they say, hey, Mark did a great, or somebody did a great job, they're going to say, no, we did it. And that's what they should be saying. So, again, I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you for another 3.
No increase in taxes, please.
All righty. Any attorney updates? Anything on the city manager report?
I think we had a good night so far. Let's stop there.
Nope, I don't even have to talk about FAM. You know all about that. So.
Yeah.
But, I'll give kudos to FAM, Mike Powell, as he calls himself, the airport guy.
Yeah.
The guy knows what he's doing. He's jam up. He's cool-headed. He's the best one to... I had to get the last one, tell some of them they're not talking, just let him talk. But it's really on him for getting the security fence out there and other stuff he's working on. So I pray they're going to do a great job, but I think if JT lets him lead and the other guys do their job, we're going to be very happy. And that goes into one thing off my plate. I love to have that FAM off my plate after into the 3rd year. So
Yeah. And to be clear on that grant, you said that was funds that they had left over in their budget. So this wouldn't have been just a standardly advertised grant out there. They had to...
That was Mike going after... it was after. That's Mike going after Dawn. She's the manager out there, real good girl. We deal with her. She's really good to deal with. And that's him going after pushing. We need this, we need this, we need this. So, again, his background is great, hence why he calls himself the airport guy. But all kudos to them. That was on them, or especially on him. Did a great job.
Well, the point was they've been telling us for all this time they were going to be proactively going after these grants, and that's just an example of that.
Yes, and that's just one of many they got in JSEP trying to get from them.
Yep. Good deal. All right. Well, that concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. Is there anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Thank you.